Welcome back, everybody, to another episode here on the Oshay Vlogcast Channel. We are so glad that you guys are here, you Black men who support this particular channel. And today I have a very unique guest who are experts in the field, if you will, on a very unique topic. I want to first of all thank Donovan Sharpe for a previous article that he wrote addressing this particular situation, and we'll delve a little bit more deep into it. But we have three wonderful guests here. You guys know the guy with the shades. Everybody knows who he is. He was on here last night. He's frequent here all the time. Xanatos Clutch. You have senior writer and of the www.negromastery.com and a writer over at Return of Kings, Donovan Sharpe. And also we have senior writer Bobby Sonora of www.negromanosphere.com. And today we're going to talk about the advantage of talking like a white guy, which comes from Donovan's original article, the advantage of talking like a white boy. But I tried to give it so we won't have any YouTube problems. I just said white guy. Let me first preface this by saying all three guys on the panel are either very well traveled or very well educated. We have two guys that have bachelor's degrees in economics, and so Donovan is a well-traveled guy himself. So we're going to come from a different experience today than what we typically talk about. But let me first start off with Donovan. What's going on, Donovan?
Not too much, man. Just doing my thing over there at donovansharpe.com. As you guys all know, YouTube nixed my channel, but that certainly hasn't stopped me. So yeah, I'm still doing my show, TSR Live at Donovan Sharpe. I do it every day at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, okay. 1:30 Pacific, and the train's still on the tracks, man. donovansharpe.com. That's where you can find me.
All right. And guys, thank you guys so much for coming. Clutch and Sharpe, two of my favorite guys. Me and Bobby Sonora, got to get him more on more often. But let me start with you, Donovan. I want to talk before we get to the white guy part, right? Because this is an African American channel. You write for Negro Manosphere, which is the African American catered blog. And we have a middle class demographic of African American men that can kind of relate to some of the things you talk about, a lot of things you talk about, rather. But let's talk about how you grew up before we get into the voice and all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I was just telling you guys off the air that I was born in Philadelphia, PA. That's obviously that's where I live now. But my dad served in the military for close to 30 years. He served both in the Army and the Air Force. I don't know how he managed to pull that off. And as a result, we traveled a lot. But honestly, before I was 6-7 years old, I think we had already lived in like 6 or 7 different states. I was always switching schools. I've lived in Hawaii twice. I've lived in New Jersey. I've lived in Oklahoma. I've lived in Texas, California, Washington State. I've lived in Georgia, North Carolina twice. Florida. I've lived all over the place. But the interesting thing is that on a military base, and I don't know if any of our viewers were raised on a military base, is that everybody sounds the same. We all, at least that's the way it was when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. Everybody sounded the same. They talked the same. And I mean, we had people we had people of all nationalities, Black people, white people, Mexicans, Asians, sometimes Hawaiians, but their dads or their mothers served in the military. And we're all used to being on military bases. There is no accent on a military base. Everyone quite literally talks the same. So when we finally became civilians, when I was 16 years old, my folks split up. For the very first time, we had gone to a public school that wasn't military based. Okay. So that was in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny. The first time, people actually got a look at us. Well, where'd you guys come from? Well, we just moved from Hawaii. Right. And so they ask, well, what the hell are you doing here in Altus, Oklahoma? It's a southwest. I mean, Altus, Oklahoma. Nobody knows where Altus, Oklahoma is. Not even people who actually live in Altus, Oklahoma. That's how far out that was. The second thing they notice is like, wait a minute. You guys are Black, but you guys don't sound like you're Black. We got all kinds of questions all the time. And it became evident to us for the first time in our lives that, holy shit, like Black people don't talk the way we talk. Like it was crazy, man. Like even though again, 16 years of existence, and it's not like I'd never been around Black people who sounded like they were from the hood or anything like that. But most Black people that I had been around for the first 16 years of my life sounded just like me, and it never occurred to me that there were black people that sounded different. So that's the that's the genesis of my speech patterns, so to speak.
Okay, that's important. Because we want to start there. And again, shout out to everybody misses Donovan Sharpe, right? And I miss Donovan Sharpe too. No homo. But he's been doing these damn spin classes and shit, trying to be, get in shape and be healthy and all this other stuff.
Hey,
shit.
six straight days, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Niggas trying to better themselves and all that. I hate niggas trying to better themselves.
Trying to be like me. I'm just
hold on.
I'm trying to be like me.
What kind of shit? Y'all niggas are trying to do too much good shit. What's up? What's going on, Clutch?
Something's wrong. Something's wrong with my ear, right?
All right.
Oh shit. Okay, you doing flexing and shit. Hold, let me do this real quick. Buff guys. All right, let me shout out to my man Charles Gilmore III. Much love from Cabo San Lucas.
CG3.
I got to give CG3. He actually is the first person that actually shut Anthony Brian Logan up with the rebuttal. First time it ever happened. So I got to send him an award for that, like a plaque.
ABL knows the shit though.
The award for shutting ABL up for 5 seconds. Okay. Freelance Ronan, the four horsemen of the Black Manosphere. Respect. Thank you, Professor Freelance Ronan out of Virginia. Maddie Ghost, Donovan Sharpe. He just writes that in the super chat. Donovan Sharpe. Let me do this, guys. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be on for a minute. Donovan will leave, and then once we get them, Donovan leaves. And what we'll do is kind of
about 45 minutes or so. You guys got
40 minutes or so. So we'll allow some other people to come in, whether that be Tony Maceo, or somewhere else wants to come in. So we'll make it like a barbershop thing. Let me kind of go to Clutch, because Clutch, you have a different experience, which is a little different than I think all of you on the panel have a typical African American experience than what most African American men grow up with. So let's start with you, Clutch, how you were raised, where you're from, and all this stuff.
Well, first of all, let me say thanks for having me on the show again. Shout out to yourself, Donovan, and the other dude here.
Bobby Sonora.
Crap, I'm bad with names.
Bobby Sonora.
So
just call me BC from DC.
BC.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Which, speaking of which, he and I are from the same place, Washington, DC. Okay. Specifically, I was born within the center of DC during the heart of the Marion Barry administration. So you all would figure I would have that thick ass Southeast accent while saying Mo and Bama and
Young,
Joan, and all those other kind of accents and colloquialisms. But lo and behold, I come out sounding like I'm someone from Southern California. So, but my experience has been this. I wasn't as traveled as Donovan Sharpe, unfortunately. I was stuck within the DC area for the most part. Petty Gangsters County, Maryland, which I'll just say it's Prince George's County, Maryland. And granted, I didn't struggle like a lot of people in most inner cities. I came from a working class family, but there were plenty of times that we went without. And the community I was surrounded by for half of my childhood was actually predominantly Black. However, I had a lot of people basically push me to not go into the typical traps of Black America. And that came from teaching me hook on phonics when I was a year old, thanks to my dad, to having me go to some other tutor sessions. And in many cases, a lot of this was mostly self-taught. For a lot of the punctuations and grammatical things that is considered whitewashed, a lot of it was self-taught by myself. And the reason why I did that was early on, I knew that the environment I was in was a piece of crap. Quite frankly, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't want to have anything to do with Southeast DC, PG County, whatever. I wanted to get the hell out and as far away as possible. And this especially was the case when my father died when I was 7 years old. After that, a lot of the support that I got slowly trickled away. And I realized that I was personally on my own, being one, a Black man or a young Black man, and two, a Black man who didn't follow the script, particularly following the script of being a dope boy or a simp.
Right.
Right. I've even had people told me, well, you're going to make a great husband to a Marquisha after she done had her fun. I've literally had grown-ass black females say this.
I wish Marquisha would come up and say some shit like that to me. Oh, I wish he would.
I would slap the taste out of Marquisha's mouth if you
straight up.
Right, equal less.
I don't want to put this on Patreon too early.
Yeah,
but
don't send it to Patreon.
Exactly. No, but combining my experiences, mostly negative, and yes, I did get a lot of the attacks of, why do you sound white? You ain't black enough. You ain't got no swag.
Right.
Some of which came from my own family members.
Yep.
And as a result of all those negative experiences, I just pushed myself even further to self-educate myself to learn how to speak proper English, to the point in which I just gathered this accent. And what really helped was when I was exposed, or rather should I say, when I self-exposed myself to non-Black environments in the DC area. My jobs, for the most part, particularly when I was a teenager, consisted of me working in either Montgomery County, Maryland, or Fairfax County, Virginia. Those two places are well known for being non-Black locations within the DC area. I'm not going to say they're white. There are plenty of Asians, plenty of Hispanics, plenty of Africans, plenty of Oreos too. But we all know about the guys who are Oreos and what kind of women they dated and married. Those were the environments I was in. And after seeing those environments and how affluent they were, which, by the way, those two counties are among the most affluent counties in the country, I was solidified basically in my beliefs of acting white, talking white, and so forth. I mean, I don't like calling it talking white, acting white, or whatever. I just like calling it common sense. But when you talk to a bunch of Negroes who are just on that anti-intellectual,
listen, I call them people niggas. I'll call them
niggas. Yeah, that's all it is.
Let's call a spade here.
Okay.
When you're there with niggas, then Okay, what else can you do?
Okay, no, it's a very interesting story. Okay, let me just do this real quick, guys. And thank you guys so much here. I see Mr. Research is in here, Tony Maceo, CG3 guys. So good to see all the moderators here. Get the likes up. Let's go to Bobby Sonora, senior writer here on www.negromanosphere.com. Write some awesome articles for us, just like Donovan. Donovan is Donovan writes every Wednesday. Bobby Sonora, you don't know when he's going to come out with one. And he just publishes as soon as he just writes it and just like boom, it's there. So, but welcome Bobby Sonora. You guys may know him from a show we did last year on my main channel that got about 20,000 views. He wrote a book called Black Names Matter, and I'll let him explain himself, his college education. So go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, Oshay, man, I gotta get better. I'm working on getting better with my consistency on dropping those articles. Once I start, I got my heart broke last year.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Okay. So thanks a lot for really having me on the show with the guys and everything like that. Mr. Xanatos, he and I kind of cross over because I actually grew up in Montgomery County. I was born in DC and around the same area as Xanatos. A little earlier than the Marion Barry, like right when he started, not in the heart of it. My experience is a little different because my father was from
grew up in Montgomery County.
Yeah, I grew up in Montgomery County. My father was West African. My father was a cab driver. He still lived in DC. He was from Liberia and he was a native Liberian. Oshay and I talked a little bit about Liberia. Here and there. I liked a lot of the research that Oshay did on Liberia. My father kept pushing me to speak. He's like, you must speak standard English. And I said, Dad, I speak modern English. No, he's like, you gotta speak standard English. You gotta pronounce your words. He was really big on, speaking properly. If I didn't do my math right, he would smack me upside my head. Things like that. But I was particularly I was raised with my grandparents. My mom and dad split when I was very young. So my grandparents are Southern, Alabama and Missouri. And I was raised by them in Montgomery County next to Miss Dean. She was like, she used to smoke cigarettes, and she used to have this dude come over all the time. And I was like, Grandma, who's that? Is that her husband? And she's like, nah, that's Miss Dean's boyfriend, you know? But anyways, as far as the talking white part, you know, when I went to school with a lot of people that wanted to be PG County, but they weren't. I always saw people as it's not really where you're from, it's who you are. Mm-hmm. And I came up around a lot of different people. Yes, like Xanatos says, I can vouch for it. There's a lot of non-blacks in Montgomery County. But I would say in the 80s, that's when the Salvadorians really started coming to town, when there was the Salvadorian crisis, civil war. And I actually started picking up Spanish when I wasn't really accepted a lot at first by the jocks and the thugs. See, I had kind of like my own little niche. See, I didn't do, there wasn't really a lot of, there was Marquishas and stuff like that, but there were little pockets of these areas. It might not have been as ubiquitous as PG County. We have like Center Hill, the Center Hill area. We had like an area near Einstein. We had these little areas where there's these little reserve. Even in Potomac, Maryland, there's a place called Scotland where there's a ghetto. They got a ghetto in Rockville called Lincoln Park. It used to be all black, but now it's Latino. It's just very interesting. It's interesting demographics. It used to be Chocolate City. Now it's a s'more. It's got white people in the center and brown people on the outside and some blacks. So it's changed. Things have changed a lot. But I would say that the most people saying that I talk white or sound white used to come from my own family. Mm-hmm. But they also used to say, when you get mad, you turn really black, like ashy gray. Like most of my family, they were like, you turn gray. I was like, damn. I didn't really, because I realized like all my family is like lighter than me. So I realized, you know, I was different because my dad was African. So, I mean, it's West African at that. So so it kind of like my mix is a hodgepodge. So me, I kind of like found my niche in learning different cultures. Like I learned how to speak Spanish when I was in high school because I was trying to communicate with this senorita in the ESOL class, you know, and she couldn't speak no English. So then I realized I could learn languages. So then I went on to learn, like, you know, after I started messing with this Chinese chick for a long time, I started picking up on some Chinese. So I started learning that too. So I just started realizing, you know, I have an international niche, and that's just how I always rolled. So I would just get in where I fit in. You know, I would say as far as trying to sound black at first, I would say when I really wanted those black chicks that I wanted, and they, you know, like I had to jump through hoops to get them. Now, if they were in another school, it was different. But if they were in my school, they wasn't really having it, you know. Okay. So I was like, well, wait a minute, let me try the Spanish girls. Right. And not the ones that are Americanized. Let me try the ones that don't speak that much English, but still look fly. Okay. And then I started doing that. I was like, oh, okay, I got a market here. All right. I got a market for doing international shit. So then that's why I started doing my own thing. And I just hung out with a rack of different people. And that's what happened.
Let me hold on real quick, Oshay. Let me ask you something. Do you know who? Because I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. Okay. I don't want to have to force you to put this on Patreon. At least not yet. So I'm going to ask you. All right, listen. I'm going to ask first. I'm going to ask first, and then I'll shoot. Right. Okay. So Mitch Mustang Sr. Like, is he a good?
No idea who that is.
Okay. So all right. Well, I guess. Mitch Mustang Sr. puts in the chat, proper English isn't a real thing. It changes too often. I disagree, because, Mitch, no one can define what proper English is, but you know it when you hear it. The second thing he said is English isn't our first language. It is a bastard language anyway. It sounds like you can't have what you want, so you disparage it, right? Bottom level MGTOW guys say, oh, you know, you red pill guys pedestalize pussy. No, nigga. The reason you hate me is because you want to be me. So to reconcile the fact that you couldn't get pussy in a brothel, you're going to tell me that I'm a slave to the almighty vagina. right? So again, like you're not going to sit here and fool me by talking about it's not our language. It's a bastard language anyway. Really? Is that right? Well, why don't you tell us why, Mr. Mustang? And if you're so inclined, go ahead and send them the links so you can debate us man to man here. Like, listen, honestly, I'm not here for the fucked up trolls here. Like, I'm not here for y'all. If you're gonna make a statement like that, you need to back it the fuck up or shut the fuck up.
And to add on to that, what's our native language? Swahili?
That's what I'm saying.
Freaking
Right.
Igbo, fucking Wakandan.
Yeah,
Come on.
like
Team Killmonger.
Niggas, yo, you're seeing niggas out here actually doing this shit right here. It was a fucking movie. People, listen, people who do this shit are the same people that give credence to the movie Get Out. Bro, did you see that movie Get Out? That's how it is out here in these streets. Nigga, shut the fuck up with that nonsense.
let me weigh in. I think that I'm glad you actually went in on the nigga because see, I'm trying to be professional, but y'all niggas know I have two sides of me. The nigga side, which everybody loves, and the non. But let me kind of get into this. Like, I'm gonna just be real quick. I know Donovan got to go. I'm gonna let Donovan weigh in a little bit more. And Donovan, we got to get back our shows again, dog. We've been fucking around. Well, you've been trying to better yourself and all that bullshit. But anyways, here's my shit with this, right? And I gotta be honest. I'll be real brief. Both of my parents, my dad went to UCLA, my mom went to UC Davis. Okay, I come from a very strict religious upbringing, but my dad was a fucking crackhead. Okay, like my dad was such a crackhead. This nigga was going around stealing free shit. It was that bad. Like, almost, if you would leave something free, he the type of nigga that would try to sneak up on the free shit and steal it and run the fuck off and be bragging about these free condoms. I mean, my dad was fucked up at one point. He had church, nigga, and and he couldn't smell either. So like my dad can't smell. He can see, hear, talk and shit, but he can't smell. So he would be hanging out with a motherfucker that's like musty as fuck, and he wouldn't know. Yeah, everybody like, God damn, I hanging with this nigga. He's stuck. I don't know, because my dad was just on crack. So being around my dad being on crack, and here's the thing, as an African American, like if you have a family that does really well, and some people, like if you move out of the ghetto, a lot of us as blacks, we have a lot of family who's still in the hood, even no matter how good we doing. My immediate family on my dad's side was from Atlantic. If you're from LA, Atlantic Drive Crip. Okay, that's what we was. Linwood Farm Dog Crip. Everybody on my dad's family wasn't shit except for like 2 or 3 people, or maybe like 4 or 5. I have an auntie who has a master's in nutrition from Southern University. I have an uncle who's an engineer. My grandmother was a nurse. My dad's now a nurse. I'm in medical school, obviously, but the rest of my family wasn't shit. Here's what I knew. I had to, and as far as where I grew up at, between Del Paso Heights and South Side of Compton, I had to develop my nigga skills. It was imperative. Like Clutch was like, he had to get out of it. No, nigga, I had to get in it. Because if I didn't get my nigga skills, these niggas was ass beaters. I told y'all the story of my grandma tried to dress me like Martin Luther King with some penny loafers and shit with a Bible going to school. Because my grandma was like, my dad was on crack and shit. That's who was taking care of me. My godmother and shit and stuff like that. My mom was, she was still working and stuff like that, trying to hold us together while my dad was smoking all the motherfucking crack. My grandma was trying to get me out of that, not being a gang member or a crack dealer or whatever. So she was trying to keep me in church 18 days a week. But going to school, look like you're going to church 18 days a week with motherfuckers who don't go to church, little kids. These little kids will fuck you up. And I felt myself getting fucked up a lot. So I had to really get my nigga shit on. I had to learn like flip a bitch means turning around the corner. You know what I mean? Just, ain't T on the block as a female crackhead. I had to really practice my nigga shit because I wasn't going to be able to survive like that. So I have a little bit of a different experience. But what I have noticed is I had to also develop that white vernacular. Hello, how are you doing today, sir? Good to see you. I had to also work. So I was living in 2 different fucking worlds. You know what I mean? And when I came to YouTube, it was crazy because that's how I got so popular. Being a fucking nigga. And at the same time, doing other shit. So it's interesting to see how all of us have differences. But let me go to this real quick. You, Donovan, when you started to come into the black community and you had this white voice, did you ever feel a need to have to try to fit in?
No, never. That to me, like trying to fit in, for me, that ended when I was a teenager. So just to continue my story here, when I lived in Oklahoma, we only lived there for about a year or so.
Okay.
Then we ended up moving to North Carolina, and that's when it was really in our face. Listen, there aren't many black people in Oklahoma. So yeah, we caught a little bit of heat, but we didn't start catching heat until we moved to North Carolina, which is in the South. It's in the Southeast. Listen, you know how white people are. You know how niggas are out there. It was in our face, man. We got called sellouts. We got called white boys. We got called it all. And for about a month or so, I tried to fit in, and I said, you know what? Fuck this. I am who I am. It's gotten me this far. Listen, and the reason I did it, to be honest with you, is because I couldn't fit in. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I decided not to fit in anymore because I just decided, no, I didn't. I stopped. I gave up because it was too hard. I couldn't be someone I wasn't. And so, when you go off to college, all of that stops because now everyone talks the same again. But when I got out of college, it's right back in your face. So that's really sort of the, just to sort of circle back. That's kind of how it was. I've never had any hood with me. I don't know. I've been in fights and I've been profiled by cops, and we can get into that a little bit later. Okay. But other than that, man, listen, I don't know what it's like in the hood because I've never lived there, right? I don't have the same sensibilities as someone who might have grown up where you grew up. And when I first came to YouTube, I didn't show my face. And it was interesting. When I first started writing for Roosh as a guest writer, as a guest poster, he had no idea that I was black until I dropped a piece called the pros and cons of game for black men in the West. He immediately got a hold of me and said, hey, we got a spot open for you. Because the another guy, Athlon McGinnis, who's a fucking superstar, he had just stopped writing for ROK. Yeah, you know who he is, Xanatos. Athlon is dude. He is the man. He is unbelievably awesome, man. I got to get up with him. But yeah, that's what happened. So when I came to YouTube, yeah, my channel did okay. But when I started showing my face, that's when things really took off. When I didn't show my face and people knew I was black just because of what I talked about. But because I didn't show my face, I got the heat, sellout, coon, this and that and the other. But then when I showed my face, people are like, okay, I don't know, maybe it's sort of a visual confirmation thing. But when I showed my face, people, I didn't really catch as much heat. Now I still catch heat for black women because I tell them like it is, and then of course I catch heat from simps and betas and all, and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's been good. And being aligned with you, and you guys really helps as well. So I'm always appreciative of that.
And let me just add into that, right? I think because of my nigga-fied personality, that's what I think. Like, if I wasn't such a nigga, I don't know how Donovan would have ever came to because Negro Manosphere at the time I had all my nigga juice going on. I had nigga juice everywhere on y'all listen to my shit. But my nigganess, if you can make that word, that helped bring Donovan in. And you know what? It's funny too. I noticed that when me and Donovan do our shows, both of the nigga juices start coming out slowly but surely. And I want to talk about that. You guys ever notice when you talk to certain people, depending on how they talk, you start talking? Is it just me?
Yes.
Well, I think it depends on the environment, right? Like if you can have whatever accent that you want. If you were to move to Great Britain, eventually you would start to take on some of the vernacular. It's not like you're all of a sudden, oh, I live in Great Britain, so now I'm going to start talking like I'm British. It doesn't work that way. But you do start you do start to catch some of that accent. And then of course, when you move back, people in the South, right? When people in the South, when you meet them in New York, when they get around their Southern neighbors, it's like, oh my goodness, potato salad and sweet tea and blah, 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 blah. It just really depends upon where you are.
Let me do this. I want to shout out to my man King Nick. Never thought I'd ever see brothers who sounded like me until I came across Donovan and Xanatos vids. LOL. Born in Europe, grew up in ATL. The King's English came natural to me, whereas Southern Ebonics always sounded unnatural. Shout out to my brother there, and I had another brother, Rob Cruz, the Sharpe reality reporter. Great content today, Oshay and Donovan earlier. You bald head mofos. That's true. That's true. Let me ask you this question. You're from DC, very black city. I went to Howard University, and I'll also talk about, you know, at some point going to HBCU, being niggified is really a great thing, despite. You know what I mean? And there's a great dynamic to even force like the most intelligent blacks to sound like niggas. But that's another story. But you're in DC, where, you know, a lot of black professionals, a lot of black wealth is there. Did you feel pressured, like, you know, to get into the Youngs and the Bamas and the Jones and the, you know, all of that kind of talking stuff and, you know, sound like a normal DC guy?
You talking to me?
So
yeah, no, I'm talking
as far as being pressured and conform. Oh, my fault.
That's for you. It's for you.
Was that like, me? Yeah. Oh, it's me. All right. So being raised in DC, obviously there's a lot of social pressure to be niggified, even among the higher ranking blacks who live there, like those who live in like downtown DC, particularly your U Streets, your other black wealth locations, and also your outer beltway PG counties and your Charles counties. Despite the fact that a lot of these places and these neighborhoods and these parts of certain counties were affluent, were safe, and were full of educated black people, that there is a black middle class, and dare I say a black upper class in those areas, there is a sense of being down, or at least acting like you're down with the cause. So the conformity or the pressure to conform was there. Personally, for me, I just thought it was weird because, I mean, I was exposed to a lot, even if it was, say, on TV or going to the other side of the DC area. I was born and raised in the area until I was 18, and then I ended up going to college somewhere else, but at least for a bit before I came back down to Maryland for college. But as far as conformity, it will wear on you, particularly if you don't conform. Personal examples I can reference are cousins, for instance, who basically pushed me out socially. Like everyone raised about, I'm down. My cousins are my best friend. All this kind of stuff. I'm the oldest sibling, so I can't really speak too much on that. But aunts, uncles, whoever, especially those who are female, the female ones, particularly in my family, gave me the most shit about acting white, talking white, that sort of thing. Yeah, they would talk about, oh, we're all family and we're all blood and that sort of thing. But when it came down to certain things, I was always the one who was outcasted or blackballed or just X'd out when it came to certain stuff, like, you know, your picnics, your parties, just the get-togethers, that sort of thing. I was excluded, and I think a big reason for that was because of the way I spoke and the way I acted. Now, compare that to when I was, and back to what Donovan was saying about having to fit in. In a way, a part of me just didn't try. And the reason why was because I saw what the result was. Just a bunch of poverty, a bunch of failure or mediocrity at best. And I suffered for it. I suffered for it gravely. To the point in which I ended up having to go into fights all the time. I mean, granted, I'll be honest, I'm not trying to brag, but I didn't lose, mainly because I stuck to being in the gym, partially because I didn't have a lot of people to hang out with after school. And in a way that sort of helped me stave off the niggas from forcing me to be too niggified. Yeah, granted, yeah, I'll speak a little slang to appease you and get you off my ass, but and there is a great price to pay. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people, particularly those within the community, those who speak on race issues, and those who want to know why America is still racist towards blacks. Well, it's because there is a social pressure to be niggified. This shit is not natural. This is some welfare state bullshit that we were forced down our throats, and most of them don't want to admit it, by liberals and Democrats.
That's right.
To the point in which the rest of the world looks at us as freaking savages that, I hate to say this, but savages that need to be taken care of in certain ways. And I think I don't want to say this is a conspiracy theory because it's a fucking fact.
Yeah, real quick, we got a question here. At Amra Camran says, "Are Xanatos and Donovan swirlers?" Right?
We're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah, isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? Listen, do I consider myself a swirler? I don't know. I'm not gonna put a name to it, but I don't fuck with black women anymore. I'll tell you that. Right now.
Yeah, and we're gonna
listen, black women that hear this one, nigga, I didn't want to fuck with you anyway, bitch. Yes, you do. You want these nuts? Listen, it's okay.
Get to Patreon, Donovan.
Oh, my bad. Yo, it doesn't take me long to get that, but no, I don't. I'm sorry. Let me give the YouTube version. No, I do not currently date women of the African American persuasion.
Okay. Thank you. That is much more YouTube.
O'Shea, can I pitch in on this real quick?
Yeah, of course, your turn. One thing was real quick. Zico Coco, loving the show, Boss O'Shea. Great topic. Thank you so much. Actually, this is Donovan's topic. We're just so Donovan wrote this in June. Donovan is an excellent content creator, so I want to thank him and also the other brothers on the panel. So, I'm just basically using Donovan's intelligence today. So go ahead, Bobby.
What I wanted to say about the I really connected with Xanatos, but I didn't feel that much pressure. I think because I was raised by my grandparents, and
you were raised in Montgomery County. Your parents loved you.
But but you see, so my nearest cousins, were Heights niggas, basically. So they lived over in Southwest and in Fort Washington. Now Fort Washington is like PG's version of Germantown.
Yeah.
If you know Germantown, Maryland. But that's like way out in the woods. You know how juvenile used to say out of the woods. But what I wanted to say was first, one thing about talking white or black. I think to the degree you think you need to survive, or the degree to which black people, or as a general black hive mind, has the resources that you want, is the degree you're going to fit in. So, for example, in O'Shea's case, he was in a gang area, and so he needed to survive, physical altercations and things like that. That's his motivation. If your motivation, Xanatos, might have been wanting to fit in with your family because of social ostracization. But when I saw around my way, when I saw all these different opportunities to hang out with all these different people, I didn't really mind if they didn't really, when black people didn't fuck with me, I started hanging with Latinos, and then they gave me shit for that. But I didn't care because I was fucking with the Spanish bitches and they was looking good. And you could get them in black. You know what I'm saying? You could get this.
Oh, y'all come in black too? What?
Yeah. To quote my man. What's his name? Let's be frank. I was fucking with. It's all about the software to me. Not the hardware.
Right. Right. And listen, this is the misperception, man. Like when black women get on us for not dating them anymore, it has nothing to do with the way they listen. There are a lot of hot black chicks out there. It's not the hardware, baby girl. It is absolutely the software. It is that hard drive.
Yeah.
And I don't want that, Donovan.
Those ratchet chicks of other races. Like I don't like chicks of other races that only fuck hood niggas. I went to this one speed dating thing in DC. And this one Filipino chick had the nerve. I was like, yeah, she was talking to me about something. She was like one of the people that was running the thing. And she said, she was talking to me about something. And I was like, oh, so you're not in this. You're just running. She was kind of cute. And she's like, yeah. She's like, but I don't date black guys. She's like, I date niggas. I date niggas.
Yeah.
So basically,
she wasn't lying. She wasn't bullshitting you either, bro. She fucks niggas.
She said her niggas from Southeast and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, you know what? First of all, now I know why that they were saying that y'all are the niggas of Asia. First of all, let me just wow. I know some good Filipinos, but I'm like saying, y'all, you made yourself like. And then the second thing is like you basically call me a classic man, like to my face, 2. And 3, Donovan, like what you were saying about the whole swirler thing. Swirling is a mentality. Having interracial dating is one thing. Swirling is a mentality that, oh, I'm swirling. It's a psychological state. Like you got to make a movement or a point about it because you feel some type of way about yourself. About some woman feels about the swirling thing is a woman thing. It's not a man.
You
thing.
hate yourself. Yeah,
Exactly.
you hate yourself. No, I don't. I got white girls sucking my dick all day, every day. I love me some me.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to basically say. It's all a mentality. Like the whole swirling thing is a psychological state that Black women use. You know what I'm saying? To say, oh, they're interracially dating because of their situation. That's all.
No.
Let me do that. Go ahead, Donovan. Hold on it, and we'll actually go into that. Go ahead, Donovan.
What Black women don't understand is that we don't date white girls because they're white. We date white girls because they're not y'all. Okay. At the end of the day, white girls are max. Black women are PCs.
Oh.
but Donovan, let me qualify that.
Okay.
The ones they aren't the honey boo boos, and the ones they ain't fucking with niggas already, like in the hood. You get what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah. Listen, again, you don't want to fuck with the mud shark. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with the white girl who fucks niggas because she's just as bad as Sharkeisha and Swantasha. Like, let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, no woke victims.
Remember what they said? If you see a white boy that's all black, you know what he had to do to get in that gang? You know, like
right?
A white chick is all black chicks. You know what she had to do to hang with them chicks.
I'm trying to tell you. Look. They normally get jumped in. White girls get fucked in. Hey, please believe they ran a train on her. Please. Oh, and
let me not even go in on these Cambodian chicks, dog. Oh my god.
What? Oh shit.
Hold on, guys. Let me keep the conversation valid. I'm not saying it's not valid, but let me just make sure I get everything on point. Guys, again, we have 304 people watching now, guys. I want to again, Donovan Sharpe. We'll be able to for a few minutes. So, guys, he has a daily show that's on a Patreon. So I believe he has his moderator here.
Yeah, it's actually you can actually get to it in one of two ways. The easiest way to get to my show is just to go to my website, donovansharpe.com, and that will then take you to Patreon. So yeah, okay. I still do my daily show, TSR Live with Donovan Sharpe. It's every day, every weekday at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on donovansharpe.com. Okay. And listen, it's the show. The kind of shows I do now are the kinds of shows that Oshay puts on Patreon, the kinds of shows that get me community strikes on YouTube. So yeah, we've taken the gloves off. We've taken the gloves off. We've taken the condom off, and we are raw dogging it on TSR Live.
Let me kind of just, we'll go into the next round of questions here because Donovan, you bring out some good points, and you and Bobby can really talk about this also with the employment piece. But this is what I want to talk about as far as when it comes to dating African American women. When it comes to this whole concept of talking proper in my neighborhood, if I were to use, let's say, the diction I'm using right now, it's trying to enunciate all of my words and not say ax but ask and stuff like that. Certain things. Right. Black people, when instead of you saying ask or ask, they say ask and they hear you say, you're trying to be white. A lot of people have never seen, most intelligent African Americans are synonymous with sellouts or thinking that they're better than blacks, or there's some hostility between those blacks because you're not trying to you think you're better than us.
Right. Have you forgotten where you've come from?
You just want to leave us out. And this always has been going on after slavery, where the blacks who could do better kind of left other blacks, as far as the side. Thomas Sowell has talked about this also. But when it comes to relationships with black women, there are not a lot of guys like us, because when you're smart or you speak with this particular shout out to Harry M again. Hello, Oshay. Thank you, brother. Always donating. It's a tough role for guys like us in our neighborhoods. You go to college. I went to Sac. I graduated Sac State. You guys went to University of College Park, Maryland. Nobody sees the work that it takes for you to do what you're doing, right? And the guys who actually use the hood language and shit like that or whatever, those guys tend to, I would say, number one, tend to have more social skills early on in life, because guys like us are used to studying or trying to do the long-term approach. And the other guys take a little bit more risk in social development, more risk in making illegal money and stuff like that. And those guys tend to flaunt what they have more. And I think what ends up happening is we all like the hot chicks. Like a hot black chick is a hot black chick. Most of us, when you grow up in the black neighborhoods, hey, look, you're going to like that big booty archetype, slim, big titties, stuff like that. Look, Nobody to me, I feel on planet Earth has a better body than black women. I've never seen it. There's no race of women I can say, oh, her body is on average hotter than black chicks. I went to Uganda, lost my mind. It's much better than Brazil as far as body types. But the problem is with us, there's a big divide, I think, between guys like us who don't really want to flaunt what we have, more fiscally conservative, and take the longer approach. And most black women don't see guys like us, and they associate us with not being cool, not being, nerdy, easy to get over on, weak. The other guys are more hyper masculine, more willing to fight and do damage, stuff like that. Let's kind of talk about that real quick, just real brief, guys. And I want to get into the next thing. What was your relationships? I'll start with Clutch. When it comes to dealing with black women, what were your experiences up front?
So, if all of you guys viewed yesterday, you guys would recall when I said dealing with darker skinned women versus dealing with lighter skinned women, for me being a light skinned guy was different, and that dealing with lighter skinned women was worse than dealing with darker skinned women. Now, this was especially true in my family, where the lighter skinned woman gave me the most shit for not acting black, while the darker skinned woman, I'll be honest, did treat me like shit as well. But there were at least some who, backed off and was like, you're doing what you're doing, we'll leave you alone, that sort of thing. Continue doing what you're doing. I still won't sleep with you, though. I still won't pop my cherry to you, though, but, just do your thing. But as far as dealing with black women as a whole, to be honest, less than pleasant, to say the least. A lot of it was dealing with strife, dealing with contention. In some cases, basically cursing women out or girls out in class, just calling them bitches on the spot and getting in trouble for it. And I don't regret it one damn bit, because a lot of them did have mouth, and they had mouth to the point in which if I wasn't going to stop it, then who was? Because here's the thing. What's holding the black community back, I think, more than anything else, it's not just because it's a gynocracy, but it's because black males, for some reason, feel as if they can't stand up to their black female counterparts. And nowhere is this epitomized more than middle school, high school, and beyond. I saw a lot of black females do a lot of stuff with impunity in middle and high school, to the point in which they let the teachers get away with it. The principal will let them get away with. In some cases, you got teachers who will bargain to do certain things to these or with these teenage girls in order to get away with it. While us guys, if we spoke up about it, we were called out in many cases by those same adults who were supposed to be the mature ones, the elders, the ones in the community who were supposed to show us the way. But all they showed us was how to worship at the feet of mostly worthless American black women.
With a net worth of $5 each.
Oh, yeah, well, you had to count inflation in there now, so it's like more like $4.65.
Don't Patreon the show. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, listen, real quick, as far as my relationships with black women were concerned, is listen, man, through my teens and 20s, I didn't get much play with black women for exactly the same reasons. Mm-hmm. The way I talk didn't help me then. But I'm gonna tell you what, listen, I'm never gonna start fucking black women again. But if I started fucking black women again, the way I talk would certainly help now. See, here's the deal, guys. This is where the red pill crosses over. All right. There's a concept out there called alpha fucks, beta bucks, right? Alpha fucks is when young fertile girls, they want to waste their fertile years, when they're most attractive, fucking alpha niggas, right? Niggas with tattoos, niggas with big cars, big money, all these thug ass niggas, right? Well, by the time they're 29 and have 8 kids by 8 different dudes, now they want a guy who talks like me, because she thinks I'm gonna rescue her from her bad decisions. Unfortunately, 99.9% of black men in this country are not Donovan Sharpe. So these bitches out here having all these kids are still getting rescued. Now, a lot of men might think, well, that's not fair. No, actually, it is fair. Because a lot of men think, well, man, women have it all. They can fuck around with all these alpha dudes and then settle down with a simp ass nigga and still get taken care of. Maybe. But consider this. The dude that ends up wifing these bitches up, these aren't the men they want to be with. The men they really want to be with are the men that put babies in them in their teens and 20s. Those are the men they want to be with. So, okay, all right, so she's got a roof over her head, but she's not with the nigga that she wants to be with. And when she cheats on him, she's going to cheat with those same niggas. Now, as far as masculinity is concerned, I think masculinity is like black women equate masculinity as hyper masculinity as true masculinity. I think Barry CEO just said that. It's what we said earlier in the black community. A man's success is binary. You can either be a professional athlete or recording artist, or you're a bum ass nigga living with his mom. There's no in between. What about the guy who's a warehouse supervisor that makes $75,000 a year with a 748 credit score? What about that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Black women don't want that guy because he's seen as a failure. Because again, it's binary. Either you're way up here, either you're Jay-Z or LeBron James, or you're Spooty from the block. Well, it also comes. The same also applies when you're talking about sexual attraction. It's binary as well. You're either the alpha thug ass nigga or you're the simp. And because there's no in between, black women and women alike equate true masculinity with abusive behaviors. And women who are abused say, hey, you know what? I might be being abused, but at least I have masculinity. They're not thinking this consciously, but subconsciously, this is what they're thinking. This is what their hard drives tell them. And this is why black women get up with these thugs and end up staying with them or trying to.
Okay.
Quickly, I want to say my relationship with black women in my high school years, it was all right. Actually, it was all right. I had some, I think
you know why, right?
Why?
You were raised in Montgomery County.
Yeah, there were some black. In Montgomery County, I would say the Montgomery County black girls. Like, I mean, I guess we're all used to being international, but everybody was a little bit more. I mean, even the girls that were like with the thugs, but I mean, I think, especially if I messed with a girl from a different school, it was cool. Girls in my school, like, the hypergamy thing, right? Yeah, so basically, the girls basically a couple of grades lower than me that were black or in another school, usually in another school. And then let me see, as I got older, I kind of like, I was like, when I was in my my late teens, I started dating a lot of Latinas. But let me think now. The black chicks that I did now, when I was right out of college, there was a couple of chicks that I met. Black American chicks. One from Louisiana. She was hot, man. And I messed with her. She was all right, and let me think. So I didn't really. The last black chick I dated was like last year, and it was good in the beginning. We had different political views, and yeah, we had different political views. And she had that she's from the ilk of, oh yeah, like, if a man doesn't want a woman to have her baby, he should keep it in his pants. Like that logic, like the logic of here. I'm talking about the logic of, wait a minute, you got all this different birth control, abortion, but still, she's like, yeah, if he wants to, he can keep it in his pants. I'm like, I better be careful fucking with you, like, right? But that shit was kind of, she had some shit happen to her, like, she had a miscarriage and there's some other shit that happened to her, but she was pretty. The honest truth is, she was decent, like. I mean, she was kind of like emotionally unhinged, but she was a decent person. So as far as my dating experiences with black women, I mean, I haven't really had any over the top, like, I've had some. I think I've dated some that like maybe it didn't gel for a little. I said gel.
That's from the PE community. I'm right with you, brother.
Joke. Yeah. It didn't gel. It didn't gel, but I didn't really have any, like, crazy bonquisha stories.
So you never dated a Swantasha or an Alkita?
No,
listen. While we're on names, I'll actually talk about this real quick. I actually talked about this on my show the other day. So I used to work for a company in Morrisville, North Carolina. It's just outside of Raleigh, right there in the RTP. And my job was to I can't really get into it, but I saw a lot of fucked up names because we were dealing with kids who were in the Medicaid system under the age of 18 years old. Well, you know, kids that are under the age of 18 years old, right? In the Medicaid system, some ghetto ass man. Listen, check this out, man. I'm not even lying to y'all. I saw a name that was L-A, then the minus sign, then A. I called the mom. I was like, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce your kid's name? She said, it's Ladasha. I said, you got to be kidding me. There was another name called ABCDE named Absidy. Listen, my hand to the fucking man.
I gotta write that down. Hold up. Say that again.
Bruh. ABCDE. It's called Absidy. Listen, one of my viewers actually Googled this shit, and he found out that 320 something girls in the United States from 1990 to 2014 was named Ladasha, was named Absidy. Here's a general rule of thumb. Check this out. If you want to know if you have a ghetto name, right? Because a lot of people out here, man, is my name Hood? Check this out. If your last name you don't choose, okay? Here's the general rule of thumb. If you have to hold down the shift key on your first name more than once, your name is Hood. If you have to hold down, if you're spelling your first name on a keyboard, if you have to hold down the shift key more than one time, you got a ghetto ass name, my friend. You got a ghetto ass name. It'll take a while.
Go ahead, Bobby. Real quick.
If you got a foreign name and an Irish last name,
like you got what? Hold on, like Tavion McDougal.
Yeah, like Rashid. Yeah.
Somebody said
Rashid O'Brien.
Yeah, right.
Somebody said
Jones.
Duck.
Bomani Jones.
Nigga, Dre Moria.
Oh, here we go. Dre Moria. Keep him coming.
Let me do this. And Bobby, I just want to say this real quick. Bobby wrote a book called Black Names Matter. We'll address some of these names in another interview with me and Bobby. So Bobby, if you come back tomorrow, we'll do a one-on-one on this. But let me just kind of weigh in on some of the things. I was taking some notes on what you guys are saying. You guys are bringing up some good points. I think this is show. Yesterday we had a great show on the channel talking about the Donald Glover situation, the Childish Gambino thing. It already has over 11,000 views from last night. So I want to thank everybody that participated in that show yesterday. It was a great show here on this channel. But when I look at a guy like Donald Glover, and and I'm starting to hear some of these stories, it's very evident why guys like yourself, I think all of you guys. I know Bobby was just in Hong Kong and in China a few weeks ago. I think it's very evident where guys with the backgrounds like you guys have end up dating non-black. And I'm gonna say a few reasons why I think that is. If you're a black guy and you start to go out of the norm, if you're a black guy that likes Jordans, the Grant Hill Filas, and that's the kind of guy I was. I was a big shoe geek back in the day. I liked that. I liked E40. I was in, I liked, back then Snoop Dogg was hot, the Loonies. I was into all of that shit. I was really into that. So even though I was smart, and I was a gifted and talented student, I fit very much into the black culture. You know what I mean? I loved Herbie Hancock. I loved John Coltrane. I grew up Baptist. I was just, in that whole nigga, if I was a roaster, I was talking shit. I had I was one of the nigga kids from the community. My brother went to the same high school 10 years before, all these things. But here's what I find out. If you're a black guy and you have interests that are different, you like anime, you like comics, you like hiking, all of these
spin class.
If you're a black dude and you start to kind of delve into different things that are outside of the black culture norm, because the black culture norm for black men, it doesnn't really kick black women out for certain things. They get more lenient.
Right. They get a pass, but
they get more of a pass. They still get it too, but they get more of a pass to do other things. Black men, though, if you start to do things like you want to go to raves, and that was popular
Man,
when I was in high school. If you like techno music,
or you watch IndyCar,
yeah, if you start getting into things like that, it automatically cuts you off from dating black chicks. Automatically. I mean, even if you have interest in them, if you like rock or something like that, or you like Skechers shoes, I started noticing, dude, that black dudes like that automatically, they are almost had to 100%, 200% at a time, and that's not a real number. They had to date white chicks. There was no way, especially if you're in a state like California where you don't have a lot of the black population is there, but it's spread out. So, I mean, I wanted to also talk about that. Just, I noticed that a lot of black men had these issues if they decided to get out of the, you had to wear FUBU back in the day, or you had to wear Jordans. You had to look a certain way. If you stepped out of that, iceberg was big back then you were definitely outside of the community without question as a black man. I just want to talk about this though, because Donovan, you wrote in your article, I know you don't have too much time left, so I want to address this real quick. You talked about let's talk about some of the advantages. Let's talk about the job market. When you are a guy that talks, and you put this here in the first sentence, let's keep it real, fellas. When you send your resume to a company and the hiring manager reads the name Jaquan Divine Harris, he is more than likely to dismiss you as a potential candidate. There's nothing wrong with that name, but the fact of the matter is when the companies see names like this, they prejudge, then subsequently dismiss you. Okay, Bobby wrote a whole book on this. If the manager doesn't dismiss you based on your name and decides to give you a call and you sound like a hood nigga, your application is all but forgotten from the point forward, and your resume you spent a little extra to put on good quality paper ends up in the trash can. That's not right, but it happens and we all know it. Let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, listen. And again, we talked about this. We talked about this off the air. The thing with these names that these black mothers, and listen, white girls are actually starting to do it too, but unfortunately the way white girls do it, they don't do it like black women. Black women use apostrophes and symbols and colors and commas and apostrophes. What white girls do is they take traditional names and they spell them in non-traditional ways. So they're not really punished. As a matter of fact, when white progress, then look at this application, this girl must be unique. But that's not what we're talking about here. When black women do this to their kids, what they are doing is they are hamstringing their child's job opportunities. And the reason why black mothers give their black sons and daughters these names, it has nothing to do with their kid and everything to do with them. They want to bring attention to themselves. Listen, look, I have 3 daughters, Portia, Mercedes, and Lexus. Are you kidding me with that nonsense? Like, are you kidding me? Actually, I'll go one step further. There's La Portia, there's the Mercedes, and La Lexus. Right? Like they only do these things to bring attention to themselves. You got your 3-year-old kid wearing $200 Jordans, not because they're good for the kid, but because you want to say, yeah, my kid wears $200 Jordans. So it's extraordinarily selfish for these black mothers it's an albatross they hang on their kid's neck. Like, what are you supposed to do if your name is, Shamarcus? Like, the only thing if your name, I just came up with that one. But if your name is Shamarcus, bruh, you're either going to be a drug dealer, you're going to be a first-round draft pick, or you're going to be a rapper. It's one of those 3. There's no in between. And of course,
tranny.
But
okay. Listen, guys, go.
I say that facetiously. I say that facetiously, but having a ghetto name is like having a neck tattoo. Your job opportunities are severely limited. Like, it's there. You're not getting rid of it. So, like Jaquan Divine Harris, the example I used in the article, if that was my name, I'd just go by JD, right? You have to come up with original names. You have to come up with original ways to not sound like you're from the hood. Then when they get you on the phone and you sound like a hood nigga, please, they'll be on the phone with you for 15 seconds. Thanks for your application, Jay Quain. We'll get back to you.
Oh my God. Let me do this. So what we have, my man, shout out to Max the Limits Radio, and ABL. I'll send you guys the link in a few minutes here. I'm just gonna wait until, because I know Donovan's gonna leave at a certain point.
Yeah, I've actually got to go now, but okay. I appreciate you having me on, Oshay. I know this was a lot of fun, man. But
bro, when are we gonna do the haul again? Me and Donovan talk every day, at least for like 3 minutes. But
yeah,
like hello, all right, go. Gotta go. Peace. That's Donovan's conversation. Yep. All right, guys. See you later. Peace.
Listen, I'm a busy guy, man. But we got to do the Hall of Game, man. The lineup is going to be tight.
Let's get back to the weekend shows, bro. Tomorrow's Friday. If not, if we can, I'll go to. There's a G-Eazy concert here in Warsaw. So I'll if we don't do it tomorrow, I'll go there and I'll just come back.
Man. Let's do it. I'm in. And by the way, some of these names that I'm seeing that these niggas are coming up with, I swear to God, I've got Guap Coinasha. I've got Advil Nisha, DM
Advil Nisha.
Yo, Drake.
Okay, I'll tell you what, guys. I'll do a contest here. Anybody who comes up with the most ghettoest name, we'll give you guys a prize. But you have to enter it on the website or something like that.
Here's a qualification before I go. And listen, LAR Movement is going to take my spot here. Before we go, in order for your entry to win, there must be at least one symbol in the name, right? So there's got to be.
Write down the rules of the contest, and I'll actually give a real award. No, I'm serious.
All right.
I want to do the most. I want to also do the most long-winded.
Yes. Tyler,
Alan Roger going to be up there, so I don't know who's going to win. Who's more long-winded than you and Alan Roger? I don't know. It's going to be good.
Yo, boom, Queasy, yo, oh my God,
the long-winded contest.
I swear to God. Listen, it's got to have at least one symbol. Okay. Right, which means an apostrophe, question mark, period, whatever the case may be. It has to be at least 10 letters, and it has to have the letter Q in it. Right? So as long as you come up, if you come up with
I just roll up on.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm out. It was good to see y'all. Hit me on DonovanSharpe.com, guys. Y'all take it easy.
All right, and guys, I really want to thank everybody again. Shout out to Donovan Sharpe, senior writer. You know, Donovan has really helped the black manosphere, and I think Clutch can really talk about that. I mean, when Donovan Sharpe came to this part of the black manosphere, everything kind of really got better with the content and stuff like this because we didn't have shows like this before, right, Clutch?
No. Honestly, I'll be honest. I will equate the black manosphere to the city of Washington, D.C. So when I came around say 2012, 2013, granted I was on YouTube longer under a different account, but when I made this channel around it was 14, 15, for the most part, you had black men calling out black pathology, like your David Carrolls, your Painless Risens, your Queasy 100, some of the other smaller dudes, Azrael the One, I think, and myself. And you had essentially us five at most going up against hordes of people, and even include Tommy, but he's in his own class, so I guess he doesn't want to be compared to us. And we could easily collaborate together, but with the exception of the small collaborations done by was David Carroll and Queasy 100, most of us were fighting these individual wars against hordes of Negroes who took the blue pill that is the black community script. And whenever we had an opinion, which in many cases was the opposite of the opinions that blacks are supposed to think, we were given that work. I mean, we gave the work back. But we were given hell. We were given heat, being called all sorts of coons, buffoons, Uncle Toms. The list goes on. I equate that to the early 90s Washington, D.C., where it was just crime infested, hundreds of murders per year. Yeah, the list goes on. It's basically like Chicago today, Southside Chicago. But when I saw people like yourself, Oshay, people like, say, Donovan Sharpe, other people who gave dating advice and other people who gave general advice. People like, I know you have your rivals with these guys, like people like Obsidian, people like Cortito, people like Minister Jack. The list goes on. When these people came in, the black, especially when the collaboration started, when you had these YouTube hangouts and when people started working together on websites, even the other guy who, I mean, yeah, in the beginning he was here, but whatever. I equate that to gentrification of the black male sector of YouTube.
You know what? I want to say this. A guy like Donovan, the reason why I think he's so important is because he's the guy that sounds like a white guy that a lot of black men are like, And no other black guy could really resonate with, like, a lot of Donovan's fan base comes from black guys who talk white like him. I would guarantee he gets some pull there. They're like, okay, finally we have somebody who's just like me. And so I think that's what Donovan kind of brings. He brings the black guy's perspective that talks like a white guy and kind of thinks like a white guy, but thinks like a nigga at the same time. And that's why I think Donovan is like so, because we couldn't have this kind of conversation before Donovan came. It was something that we wasn't even thinking about. You know what I mean? But when Donovan came, we could actually talk about a show like the Benedict's talking like a white guy. Let me just do this real quick. Let me go to Bobby Sonora real quick, and then I see my man Max City Lemons is here on the show. Tony Maceo, LAR Movement, you know, he lives here on the channel. I sent you a link. Let's do this real quick. Bobby, you actually wrote a book on this fucking shit, which we're going to do a show on this week. You and Bobby writes for NegroMaster.com too. Bobby, let's talk about this, the advantage of sounding like a white guy when an employer calls you.
Yeah, I want to lead off with first when I was talking about the apostrophes. Actually, the apostrophe started as a way to mimic the accents over the E that came from French names, like Shantae. Shantae actually means to sing in French. So like a lot of these names came out of like Louisiana, like, you know, black people that had origins in Louisiana, you know, they're slaves in Louisiana. So like, you know, you hear like someone's name, like for example, like Delacroix, which means of the cross. Croix means cross. Dela in Latin means of the or belonging to. So that's where you get the days and the las. You know, you get them from a lot of them from French. Now, as far as the employment prospects are concerned, Donovan was right about the incidents of people like going through resumes and looking at names. And so like we have this problem because we talk about racism, but we also don't factor in classism. And for a lot of the times I haven't ran the numbers, but I would say that black people would have a higher proportion of people who were in the lower class as a group. So for example, a policy that would help poor people, I think would disproportionately help black people in a sense. So I think that to the degree being poor and being black are not mutually exclusive, that you would have this incidence of you thinking that people would think that because your name sounds a certain way that they're racist, when in all actuality, they don't want the culture that comes along with that type of name. Even if someone named you that name, like historically speaking, the first change in black names, because like black people and white people had the same names in the 60s. It was basically the same thing. It changed with the civil rights movement when black people started taking on more Islamic Muslim names, Arabic names. And then in the 80s, it changed again. So like these were big, like if you think about the things that were happening throughout history, you had one event that united black people, and they saw that the Arabic names, they saw that those Arabic names, they saw them as something coming from Africa because the Islamic religion came from Africa. They really didn't dig deep to find out why those people had Islamic names, because they were actually Arabized by Arabs in the Arab African slave trade. But they only took one step and said, okay, Islam is an African religion. And so if we take an Arabic, Islamic or Arabic name, we are distancing ourselves from Whitey because Whitey is Christian, and being a Muslim is like a blow to Christianity. So it's kind of like separating yourself. Then in the 80s, the names changed again. Now, I think this has to do with the crack epidemic. I'm not trying to say that they were on crack, but just to say that I think that in that particular point in time, there was a lot of crime going on. Like what Xanatos was talking about, the crime wave in DC, man, we were considered murder city before Louisiana or Chicago was even thought of as, you know, I mean, the only thing we knew about Louisiana was gumbo, and Chicago was like deep dish pizza. Murder city was DC, then Baltimore. So I mean, that crack epidemic, and it's, of course, L.A. too. I mean, that's what actually got the Mexicans and blacks really beefing, was the incidence of drugs in the 80s. But not to go too far off, that's when you start seeing a lot more of the quote unquote creative names coming up. So yeah, they affected job prospects in the sense that they did this research, this survey, and it's in the book. And I just do a quick paraphrase over it. I believe it was like, for interviews, I think like 1 out of every 2. So it's like a 50%. I don't quote me on that. I don't remember, but there was a high percentage of not getting interviews because of the names. There were some people that sent out resumes with the same qualifications on 2 resumes, but one name was what was considered a quote unquote white name, and the other name was considered a quote unquote black, or what they referred to as a ghetto name. Mm-hmm. And they sent them to the same employers, and the people were calling back the resumes that had the white names, and then not calling back the resumes that had the black names. So this does affect employment prospects.
Okay. Let me just do this real quick. And my man Super Triz, he dropped 2 super chats of $4.99. I love what you brothers are doing for the culture. First time I've been able to catch you live since I work nights. Respect. Thank you so much, brother, for the $4.99 super chat. And just to be clear, super chat is super easy, even on the iPhone. So, brother, this is the first time guy donating, right? This is a brother who we keep our shows for black men. So if you want to support what we're doing, right, and it's not easy getting all these guys together on the daily, go ahead and support the stream by hitting the super chat, right? And that's another way that we can keep things like this going. I do appreciate the support, but we always have to get the new people. People always support us on this, so I'm very grateful for that. But to continue what we are doing, right, it's always good. If you like what we want to do, you want to ask a question, you can hit the super chat button. I see Anthony Brian Logan. You're more than welcome to come on, ABL. I will send you a link. So shout out to him. And again, Bobby Sonora, we're going to do a show. He writes on Negro Manosphere quite often, and we'll promote his book. And I think you got some sales the last time, right, Bobby?
I had to unmute my mic. Yeah, they've been trickling, and they've been trickling in from Amazon. I really appreciate it. Okay. I haven't stepped up my marketing as of yet, but I do appreciate the efforts. I enjoy the conversation that we have on this show, and I just like to see things move naturally.
Okay, cool. Let me do this. So my man Max City, and then we're gonna go to LAR. So Max City, man, because I think it's good to have Max City and LAR because they are more niggified, right, than Clutch and you, especially Max City. Max City is like, God. I mean, this nigga has a porno site. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. Have you seen this nigga's porno site? I can't let you live it down, dog. I gotta talk about that shit. If you want to see some real nigga shit, go to his. So you should let's talk about this, Max City, because me and you. Some folks say I sound like a white guy. I mean, okay, let me do this real quick. For those of you who think I sound like a white guy, press 1. If I sound like a nigga, press 4. I just want to see what everybody's saying in the chat. So white guy sounding for Oshay, press 1. Nigga, 4. Okay, but let me do this for you real quick, because you sound like a fucking nigga, man. I ain't gonna lie, you just niggified as fuck. Oh yes, you smart dude, right? But you
but no, but check it out, because that's what I was gonna ask you, man. Because I was like, for real, man. Like, do I sound Caucasian, or do I sound like I have some nigga in me, right? Because basically I was raised in the suburbs, like from age 5 to like 13. And I always did get that accusation that I talk proper. You know what I mean? But then when I moved over to the west side of Dayton, which is the inner city, with some savages, some animal ass niggas, you know what I'm saying? And just like when you just told your story where you basically, you had to get that nigga in you. You had to get niggified. Yeah. And so, yeah, I had to get niggified as well. But I was just wondering, I'm like, did the properness leave me? Because I never asked that question recently. So I do sound like I sound black these days. What you telling me?
You sound. Somebody says chill with the N-word. Hold on a second. Let me help you out, player.
Fuck that nigga, man. Who's this nigga?
I'm in your bitch ass out. gonna tell me what the fuck to do. So what you say, Maxie? Tell him again.
I said, fuck that nigga. Who's this motherfucker talking shit?
It's Mitchell DK. You have been timed out. Okay, go ahead, dog. Go ahead and
that grown ass man up in here. This motherfucker saying what the fuck.
Don't you calm down with the N-word? Calm down.
Calm these. Never mind.
So yeah, so check it. I'm trying to get a verdict here, man. So more white or more black? What is
nigga, more Tyrone, Leotas,
Hey.
Junebug.
Right.
That's what you sound like, nigga.
Hey, O'Shea, let me chime in on this joint real quick.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? You know how Cat Williams sounds like, like somebody they could talk proper, but they explain something to you and not to fuck with them because they got that kind of nigga tone, but it's not really enunciated. That's how he sounds. Like he sounds like he's a hustler. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like
you sound like you be selling water to whales and shit, nigga. That's what you said.
Like the clips, like the clips. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the clips and Ludacris. They enunciate the word.
Go ahead, Maxie.
Yeah, because like I said, I had that experience that you had, man. Like I came from the suburbs, and so I was used to playing soccer, tennis, so-called white boy corny shit. So when I moved to the inner city, I had to learn the hard way that niggas didn't like soccer, niggas didn't like tennis, and of course they didn't give me no play with no broads. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and of course you talk about how you like the the kicks and shit. Well, in the suburbs where I was at, I never had any sort of interest in no Jordans or no name brand shit, no starter shit. So I was branded a cornball right out the gate because I didn't get into none of that shit. You know what I mean? And to this very day, when I have bras over to my crib, they'll come in and they'll see some of my Asian art, or they'll see the books that I read. You know what I mean? I have all sort of prepper shit. I got all sorts of crazy shit that I guess you would say only white boys would read. And you should see these hoes' faces, man. You see, man, how they frown up. I'm like, damn. And automatically, it's like, they lose interest. Like they don't want to fuck with a nigga after they see, the things that I'm interested in, but that's cool with me, bitch kick rocks. So, I mean, I just don't understand the mentality of some of these broads, man, that you got out here, where they can just look at your shoes. I had females tell me that they wouldn't fuck with a nigga just because a certain brand of shoe that he wearing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Superficial, corny ass shit like that. Or, I just recently ran into a broad, man, I don't know, about a month ago. We was talking, getting to know each other, and she asked me what my interest was as far as like going to the movies and TV shows. And I straight up told the broad, I like Dungeons and Dragons shit. I like Star Trek. You know what I mean? I like sci-fi zombie shit. She like, for real? I'm like, yeah, bitch, I like that shit. You know what I mean? She's like, I don't like that space stuff, dragon stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so didn't hear from that bitch no more. Like, kick rocks, bitch. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, then. So it's just, the superficial closed-mindedness of the females that you meet. And by no means am I saying white women are better than black women. But, they are a little easier to work with. They are a little bit more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? As far as things that they'll get into, things that they'll accept. I still think, of course, all women are dangerous. You know what I mean? Black women are dangerous on the front end. White women are dangerous on the back end because if you do get got, if you do somehow meet with a disaster or misfortune, typically a white woman will get you on the back end. You could pretty much see a black woman's bullshit and fuckery coming, right up front, because they're so aggressive and in your face with shit. But for the most part, man, I have I can relate to the stories that you're telling me about your upbringing and with the other cats on the panel.
Okay. Now let me do this real quick. We got LAR movement in here, and like I said, LAR movement is more niggified than he is the other way. But I want to switch it up, right? Everybody in here, we got two personalities. I know me, I got two personalities. I got my white boy work voice personality. Hello, how are you doing today? Yes, this is O'Shea Duke Jackson. It's good to hear you. I got that, right? Because you got to play the game, right? I want to talk about this. There's a lot of niggas, right? And we can go. I might have to put this on Patreon, but y'all don't help me out. I'm just deciding on this. And we want to be real with you black men listening today because we want to tell you niggas, you got to play the game. At least that's what I want to tell you. You got to play the game. You gotta learn how to do your white voice type of shit. If you really want to make it in this motherfucker, you know, even Umar Johnson, when he's trying to be peaceful and eloquent, notice that's that white boy shit coming out. That voice. He's trying to, you know what I mean? You got to work on that shit. But here's the problem I have, man. You have a lot of blacks who don't want to integrate. Like, I'm not saying integrate, right? But if you speak like, you know, good English or a good vernacular, you have those particular blacks who want to like complain. Like, why are you trying to do this? Why are you trying to do that? I mean, we have a lot of niggas out there like that. Like one dude had the nerve in the comment section. So English is not really our language. Well, nigga, what is our language? Like, we came from all kind of different slave ships across different places in Africa with different languages. This is our language right now. We don't know shit else. You know what I mean? So I just want to talk about that. Like, you know, because you went to university, you went to, I think you went to Texas Southern. So LAR, what have you had your experience with? Because obviously you have your job, and then you got, you know, you come on here with your nigga voice, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. Like, did you have a problem trying to balance both of your personalities?
No, but I have a unique situation when it comes to that. When I was in second grade, I got in an accident. I got my throat cut. So, trying to change my. Plus, I was born in New Orleans. I was raised in New Orleans, the DMV, and Chicago. So I learned a lot about just different tones. Because you go to a different place, people have a different tone. Yes. So with me, I noticed, you know, certain words, it might sound like I'm from Chicago. Certain words, you might pick up DC. That's few now, but in certain words, it sounds straight up New Orleans. It just depends. But as when it comes to like changing a voice or doing that, I can't do it. It makes my throat hurt. Okay. So, like, I get talking in a way that you can be understood, but I can't change my voice that way. Like, I fuck around, be coughing blood and shit. I can't do it.
Well, let me ask you this though, because if I listen to you on the phone, like if I was to hear like let's say Donovan, Sharpe, or Clutch talk, and I couldn't see them, I'm like, it's a white dude, you know? But when I talk to you, I know that you're black. So have you ever been, do you think, racially discriminated against because you sound like Mac City, you know, me and you, like we sound like we're black. No matter how hard we try to disguise it, African Americans have no matter where they're from in the United States, no matter where the accent is, you can tell when you're talking to a black person for the most part.
Yeah, like, have I been discriminated? When if I make a phone call or I talk to somebody over the phone, I could tell immediately when they energy shifts. Mm-hmm. You know, after hello and how you doing, you know, I could tell this ain't gonna be business. Mm-hmm. But you know, I've learned that over the years. Like, it really doesn't bother me. Like, I know the difference between a black person who quote unquote sounds white. They don't necessarily always sound completely white. It's just something that most don't do. Mm-hmm. You know, because you know if you grew up with your like my mother in particular, she did that. So she had that work voice and that home voice. So I picked up on, you know, the difference in the voice and the tone very early. Mm-hmm. But yeah, of course, like if I call places and you know. Some places I don't like calling. I don't like calling to get food to pick up. Because if I get that energy over the phone, I'm like the first thing. No, they spitting my food. I ain't ordering that. Okay. You know, but handling other business, you know it's coming. Just no matter what people say, if you know the system of how business works, just follow their protocol. Okay. Now. That doesn't mean that they're not going to still screw you over. But if you're doing some type of business, just follow the protocol. You know, I've had teachers from India, Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, and when they're here, sometimes you really can't understand them. So it's the same to me.
Yeah, that is very fucking true.
Hey, let me keep it a buck, man. I'm like with Xanatos and Donovan. These like the first cats that ever actually really fooled me. You know what I mean? Before I actually seen these niggas, I was like, who are these white boys? Because I've listened to Xanatos, man. Like, man, it's been like a couple years, man. You know, going back to like Real Gang Radio, LA, and all them niggas and shit.
Oh,
you know,
I remember, dude.
Yeah. So before I even like seen his videos, I thought he's a white dude. You know what I mean? Same way with Donovan when he came on, you know, the Hangouts. I'm like, who the fuck is this white dude on the panel? Who is this motherfucker, man? Right. And so, hey, it just tripped me out, man. When I seen him, I'm like, damn, you know, fuck me up, man. I'm like, it's very rare that motherfucker fool me. You feel me? So I was like, okay. I'm like, man, that's deep.
Let me and so Anthony Bully Logan has requested to join the show. I call him the bully because he pretty much cuts everybody off and shit all the time. But that's
even the odds, Anthony.
And he talks like a white guy too. He doesn't.
I fucks with ABL.
He's the bully though. He's Anthony Bully Logan. That's what his name is. You gotta take over the streams and shit. Like, I'm here now, buddy. So wait a minute. All right, no, let me ask you this real quick. Because I think this is a good mix, right? Because you got 3 white sounding kind of dudes and 3 like niggas hanging around Leo this barbecue and grit shop and shit. Me, Max City, and LAR. So we got a little 3-on-3 going when ABL goes on. I want to ask you this, Clutch. Did you have to work on? I will say this. I'm from California, so California people automatically. The culture in California for blacks, we automatically enunciate our words. It's easier for us, I think, to acclimate to sounding white because, oh my God, like that's how Californians talk. You know what I mean? It's very easy to work on the standard English voice. You know, my parents are both from Louisiana, but they've been living in California for a long time. Did you have to work at it because you were in an all predominantly black city? Did you have to work on your, the way that you talk right now, or does it just come natural?
To be honest, for the most part, yeah, there were some things that I taught myself when it came to the pronunciations and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it did come natural. I don't know how. I don't credit the Prince George's County public school system for that's for damn sure. But as far as being taught it, yeah, I would say, for starters, my dad was involved in teaching me a lot from home. I wasn't homeschooled, but after I got home from school or during the summertime, he would be a big part of it. Granted, that was when I was a kid. And as I said, my dad unfortunately passed away when I was 7, so there was only so much he could do or to do. As far as my mom goes, interestingly enough, she actually she wasn't like one of these Southeast talking babies or bonquishas or whatever. She's sort of like you. She's sort of like you in a sense in that, yeah, she sounded black, but she didn't sound like she was from DC. To be honest, my mom would probably fit more of her accent in like an Oakland or Los Angeles. That's how she comes about. So in the way I sort of picked that up. But with the things I watched, like when everybody was watching, say, I don't know, a popular black show, and when everyone was watching, say, the Steve Harvey show, okay, I was watching South Park, right? Okay. When everyone was listening to No Limit, I was listening to Limp Bizkit. And
I got to laugh at that shit. What the Why did you do that? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And what really helped was when I started getting jobs. And since they weren't trying to hire a whitewashed nigga like myself in PG County, I had to go all the way to Fairfax to get freaking working in the mall, working in movie theaters and retail jobs. And a lot of the people I ended up hanging around sort of sounded like not just white, but like super SoCal, San Diego, Huntington Beach sounding white. It's like a lot of us listen to that alternative rock music. I guess that's the crowd I ended up fitting into. And as a result, I just picked up this, say, surfer-like accent. So a lot of it just came natural.
All right, let me do this real quick, man. Shout out to my boy Darren Brown. He's also from the Bay Area, and he's written New York Master before. In college, I had friends from Korea, parts of Africa, and parts of Europe and the Middle East. For us, all us to understand each other, we had to speak clearly. Speaking quote unquote white hurts my throat. I guess we got to talk about what is sounding white. That's one question I'm going to ask today. And Darren Brown, the biggest differences that people notice from when I lived in the hood to now is that I don't curse as much as I used to. Okay, I want to put that on the table for the nice pot. What is sounding white? Because obviously, I won't ask it right now, but depending on where you live in the United States, such a huge country, sounding white is so different, you know.
Ain't no such thing really as sounding white, in my opinion.
Okay. I think there's a perception of what sounding white is, but let's talk about it real quick. Let's go with you, ABL. Let's talk about you because what do you guys think on the panel before we get to ABL? Does ABL sound like he's black? I think that he does, but
he sounds black.
Sounds black, yes.
Even though he has proper diction, you know, he knows how to enunciate his words, and you know, he has like the perfect, you know, King's English popping off. I can still hear the melanin in his voice.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can still make that out.
I can think. Here's what I think when I hear about ABL. Not to cut ABL off or anything. When you hear Clutch or Donovan Sharpe, they might as well just be they're almost white people. Like, you know what I'm saying, to us. When you hear ABL, it's like, okay, this nigga's trying to quote unquote sound. Not that there is a such thing, but when you hear ABL talk, it's like this dude is trying to sound like a white guy. Like he's trying to be. You know what I mean? It's like if we hear ABL talk, like it's almost like maybe is this natural for him? That's what I think some people may think. But when you hear like Clutch and Donovan
He's
Sharpe,
trying to audition for the Grand Ole Opry. Is that what you're trying to get?
Yeah, when I hear Clutch or Donovan Sharpe talk, I'm like, okay, you motherfuckers went to Beverly Hills High School or something like that. But let's let my man ABL weigh in on his experience with what we're talking about today. Go ahead, ABL.
Okay, first of all, I never heard anybody in my life say that I sounded white ever in my life. So that's not something I ever had. Me, I grew up in all black areas. I did not live in an area that was less than 90% black until I got into high school.
Okay.
And then when I went to high school, it was still like a 50% black area. So the way I talk is just the way I talk. Actually, when I was younger, I had kind of a more nerdy voice, I suppose, because, you know, when you younger, your voice is lighter. My voice didn't get to the level it is now until I got to be like in high school. So when I left the black area, I guess I had more of the base because I was getting older.
Okay.
But just growing up, you're going to talk a certain way. But the way I talk, you know, being from the Virginia Beach area, you hear guys that's from there and the way they talk is not the same way I talk. It's different because my parents came from West Virginia, which is a whole different ball of wax. It's like, it was almost like being a first generation immigrant. Like it's like being a Haitian who was born in America, but you got Haitian parents. That's what it was like for me, having parents from West Virginia. If you were to hear my family members talk, you're talking about like, that's why I say it doesn't make sense to say that somebody sounds white, because when you hear my parents talk, you might think that they sound like country white people a little bit, but not white people as far as like they come from California, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, O'Shea.
Yes.
Hey, can I chime in on this?
Yeah. Go ahead, real quick.
Can I say something about this? I think because, like he said, because West Virginia, because I live in Maryland right now, so I think that people that have roots from the South, especially DC, has a lot of Southern roots. Like people from North Carolina, Southern Virginia, come up here. Once you get west of the Mississippi, that's when they start going to California. Like, so people from like Louisiana and stuff like that, they start either going to California or they go up north to Chicago. Mm-hmm. And then, like Texas either stays or goes. So like the migration patterns of black people from the South, usually, that's where you'll get that drawl, like if you listen to Snoop Dogg, you can tell like his peoples are from Mississippi. Like you can tell he has that Southern drawl.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't mean to cut you, boss, but I want to get back into it. I think somebody said right here in the chat what I was referring to about the West Virginia accent. Like if you ever hear Randy Moss talk, has anybody heard
cash, homie?
Yeah, that's how all my family sounds, just like him. Everybody. So that gives you an idea. When you hear Randy Moss talk, you thinking country bumpkin redneck. That's what you think, but he's not. Matter of fact, Randy come from Rand, which is kind of weird because it's like I don't want to say majority black, but it's a highly black community in West Virginia, which is a 95% white state. So it's a weird situation. I suggest all you guys go watch Rand University, a documentary that tells you about kind of my background, about why I speak kind of, I guess, clearly, but at the same time, it has some kind of inflections in it. It's weird. It's just different accents all across the country. So the whole talking white thing, I think, is just somebody that you kind of like not really looking at all of how Americans sound, in my opinion.
Okay.
I know what people are trying to say when they say that.
Okay.
It's just not. Some people, you know, their God-given voice, and you know when they're not using their God-given voice. And that's different from be able to enunciate or pronunciate words properly. It's different. You know, like you have those friends. Like I got friends like from Jamaica, right? I know that they talk patois. I know this.
Okay.
But they'll talk English just fine. But if they're really comfortable or angry or happy or drunk, they sound completely different. You don't understand shit they saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people talk about, because I got those family members. They'll have that newscaster Ted Koppel voice. And when you playing spades, they flip out and if you don't never do no shit like that again with these goddamn aces. You be like, what? Wait a minute. Oh, that's the first time you spoke with your voice in 3 years. But you know, It is what it is.
You know, a lot of that is people just trying to make sure people understand what they're saying.
Right.
Because you could speak in that patois, but it's almost like a different language. So it's like somebody that comes from a different country trying to have more of an American sounding voice. You know, one thing I want to say is that when you go overseas, it don't matter what color you are. If you're an American, they can identify that American accent.
Say that again.
It doesn't matter what color you are. When you go overseas, they can identify that American accent.
Oh, yes. Especially in Africa, places like that. Them motherfuckers like, whoa, the price is $30. Wait, you just told me it was 10. No, it's $30, nigga. I need $30 from your ass.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Let me just say this real quick. So I want to give a shout out to a few people. My man, one of my favorite YouTubers, a smaller channel, and he sounds like, I think Rusty Balls. I sent him an invitation. I asked him a little bit earlier before the show started.
Rusty
Balls. You guys heard of Rusty Balls?
Yeah, Rusty's hilarious.
Yeah, Rusty Balls probably he sounds white as fuck too. But the difference is Rusty has a black wife. So I'm trying to find out how the fuck did he do this? Because he's super light-skinned like Donovan and Clutch. And he talks just like, when I first saw his video, I was like, oh my God, dude, are you fucking like mixed? He's like, y'all been married for, I'm like, dude, I know for a fact your wife is white. I'm like, who the black kids in the background? I'm like, them kids, who kids he taking around? And this his kid. So I think he's actually interested. I mean, if I can get him to come on, I sent you a link, bro. I think his perspective would be awesome on this because is that him? Oh shit!
Yeah.
He's in the classic car. What's up, Rusty, bro?
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. You know, I reached out to you earlier to be on this particular show, man.
Yeah, I saw. One of your boys actually got you put in Facebook jail because of that post that you responded to.
Oh, my bad, bro. Sorry about that. Yeah, he flagged you?
Yeah, because of that conversation that we had about can you be in an interracial relationship and be pro-black? I stated my opinion on that one, and then he got me put in Facebook jail for a good 30 days. So,
oh damn,
that sucks. And well, here I am.
Well, okay, man. Sorry about that, man. You know how these hating ass niggas are. I apologize about that, bro. But let me ask you this: you do? I mean, have you ever been told that you sound like a white guy?
Yes, plenty of times, my whole life.
Okay,
it's true.
Yeah. He sounds like see, I know how to find. And see, you know what? I think this channel is a little bit different, man, because I'm able to bring in the dudes that are like very bright and smart and that are not your typical black guy stereotypes. So, and people like Rusty. Rusty's a brilliant guy, man. But Rusty, let's kind of talk about how you grew up, man, just a little bit, if we can.
Okay, so up until the age of 9, I grew up in New London, Connecticut, in a housing project, which was actually mostly Puerto Rican. And then from the age of 9 to 13, I lived in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk,
then,
shout out.
From there, and that's where I live now, in Norfolk. But then I moved to Dover, Delaware, graduated high school there, joined the military. Naughty Norfolk. But yeah, joined the military, got stationed back in Norfolk, and here I am, been here for 16 years. But just to let you know, so I was raised by my mother the whole time, and my mother is actually a Gullah from the Sea Islands off the coast of South Carolina. She was actually raised in Kingstree, so she actually grew up speaking Gullah Geechee. However, as she grew up, now I know that it's the Gullah Geechee culture is very exotic now, but back then it was kind of a badge of dishonor. They were kind of looked down on back then. So as my mother grew up, she kind of disassociated herself from that, and actually sounded a little bit white herself. And so I was raised by her, and I picked up her speech patterns. Now that really sucks because my mother was actually kind of viewed as elitist by other neighbors, and so was I kind of. So I did, kind of get some shit for that growing up.
Let me ask you this, Rusty, because I think Bobby, who I say he sounds not as white as I would say, like maybe you or Clutch, but out of the three, because initially it was me, Donovan, and Clutch. These guys have dated primarily interracial, and you have some very strong pro-black talking points, which is very interesting due to the way. Not that it's interesting, but by the way that you talk, you would seem like you would, you even look like a kind of, not to be mean or anything, like, but you look like a guy, clean-cut guy, light-skinned, like a guy that would really do well with white women, and you have a black wife. So it's kind of interesting to hear your talking points. When I hear it come from you, it's like, are you serious? No disrespect, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand completely. So I want to say that throughout most of my teenage years, actually when I was in high school, I actually had a preference for white girls. But that kind of, and my first wife was white, and I was with her for 5 years.
Okay.
But of course, bad things happened during that marriage related to race, and I kind of shied away from that. And so, if someone wants to date interracially, I'm not against that. But me personally, I don't recommend it. But yeah, like I said, I don't have that preference for white women anymore. I kind of lost that when I was in high school. Toward the end of it, when I graduated from high school, I was kind of, anything goes. I'm open to anything, but. Yeah, ever since the age of 25, my preference was strictly for black women.
Okay.
Hey, O'Shea, let me ask him a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because to the degree which, so my particular background is I'm half West African, right? Like my father was from like Liberia, West Africa. There's a lot. What I've noticed is there's a lot of different definitions on blackness, and I think that's the one thing that keeps black people from being able to be united. So like, you say black women, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Would you consider a woman black if she is what percentage? And I asked Sergeant Willie Pete this one time. What percentage of sub-Saharan African blood does a woman have to have for you to consider her to be black?
Are you asking me the question?
Yeah.
I would say at least. See, I want to say half. But I know that nobody is exactly half. So I would say maybe 2/5.
Because what we have is we have this thing where politically I'll see, and I'll just say primarily on the left, I'll see this. They'll include mulattoes in blacks when they want numbers, but when it comes to, let's say, them winning a beauty contest. They'll say, no, that's not the standard of black beauty. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? There's no one, there's one day mulattoes are the enemy, the next day they're the friend. Then one day they'll use the 1-drop rule, the next day they'll use the brown paper bag test. So there's so many different ways to cut it. How do you, even they'll say, well, light skin versus dark skin. So how can you really, when you say, black women, like if you say black woman, there's so many ways she can look. And then there's that featuresism thing, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that to the table and see what you thought about that.
Can I talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Let's let Rusty talk about it, and we'll go to LAR. And I have another round of questions. So yeah, let's go ahead and do Rusty, LAR, and then we'll go to the next round. And I also put this onto the discussion again about the 50% rule. We'll talk about that. So go ahead, Rusty, and answer the question if you can.
Okay, so me personally, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as using whatever's convenient. I think that Sergeant Willie Pete, he put it perfectly. One drop of black blood makes you black until it's time for a beauty contest. So I'm fully aware of what's going on with that. Okay, so with that being said, I avoid that at all costs. The inconsistencies and doing what benefits me at the time. So I do what I can to maintain that integrity. If I'm going to consider somebody to be that is two-fifths black to be black, I stay consistent with that always. Now, there are people, like I said, that have that mentality that one drop, until the beauty contest happens, I'm going to call them out on that shit. All right. But most importantly, does the person consider themselves to be black? All right. Does society consider them to be black? That all comes into play as well. Like I said, I take those into consideration, and most importantly, their self-identity.
Okay. Okay, I'll put that on the table too. Let's do this. Go to LAR, and because we have a pretty packed panel. So LAR, let's go ahead and.
Okay, I'm gonna preface what I'm about to say.
Okay,
I'm gonna say something to preface what I'm about to say. I realize because I was born in New Orleans.
Okay.
There are certain accents in America that are exotic regardless. So it doesn't matter how you talk. You're from California, Louisiana, New York, maybe even Boston. That sticks out no matter what.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. It sticks out no matter what. So you look at it as exotic. Now, when it comes to the black part of it, because of how I grew up, a lot of people use color as their convenient way of saying something. Because there are a lot of black people who are black. What America's gonna view you as black, you black. That's what it is. But if somebody's lighter than you, that doesn't mean that they don't have two black parents. If somebody is like, people talk, like I meet people all the time. They're light. Oh, you're Creole. Well, I'm Creole too. So what is your point? Because we don't even know the distinctions between what is and isn't blackness per se. All you know is this person is darker than this person, but you don't know that this person is darker. They have light and dark family members. One parent might be dark, one parent might be light. The person who's light might have two light parents, or the same thing. One parent might be dark, one parent might be light. So we don't know the distinctions between each other because we're too busy trying to. We like when men start acting like women and start looking at color and hair and not common sense, we have problems. Because some people are biracial and you can see it, but there's a difference between being being mulatto, being light, and being darker. They're not this interchangeable at your convenience. So I'm done.
Okay, let me just do this real quick. Good points. I want to shout out the super chats. I'm sorry, guys. So J.L. Edwards, I go back and forth between talking hood and white, being multifaceted works. And then Darren Brown, in California, usually sounding white usually means pronouncing through your throat and nasal. Black men stereotypically speak from the core. It's a good point. White men used to speak from their core prior to the feminist movement. Midnights before midnight, I say sounding white is like sounding responsible. Okay, and then Darren Brown, the biggest difference that people notice from when I lived in the hood to now is that I don't curse as much as I used to. So this is what I want to do. I want to go start with Clutch, guys, and let's try to make it a little clear for more of a packed panel. Try to make it within like 60 seconds so we can get everybody involved in the conversation. So this is what I want to say. Donovan writes in his article in Dating, Girls and Game. He goes, back in my teens and early 20s, I wasn't taken seriously by black females because of the way I talked. Okay, but then he talks about with other non-black women, sounding white definitely helps you with game with non-black women. So what I want to know is, with Clutch, obviously you live in Salt Lake City, Utah. So let's talk about your experiences with non-black women sounding the way that you sound. How has it helped you or hurt you?
For the most part, it has helped in more ways than one.
Okay.
Now, I'll talk about the ways it's helped me inadvertently by avoiding the mud sharks and the woke thickies of the world, because usually they'll be the kind of chicks that'll say, oh, he sounded good or he looked good until he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
And then you get the "you ain't got no swag, I thought you were black" sort of thing. So I was able to avoid a lot of mud sharks and a lot of
white girls told you that?
Huh?
White girls have told you that?
It was one white girl who told me that, and to be honest, I mean, I knew she hung out with black chicks, and to be honest, yeah, she hung out with black chicks, but she eventually put out when nobody else was watching.
Oh,
and that was the story of my life. I mean, granted, she was just like a fucking booty call or whatever, but as far as sounding white in order to impress whites and other non-black chicks, it has helped, honestly. Even back when I was in middle and high school, a lot of the people I hung out with were non-black. Even when I grew up in PG County, half the time it was in neighborhoods where we had a lot of whites, Hispanics, and the few whites who were there, and the Hispanics and blacks. And a lot of that helped me not only to befriend, date white chicks, but actually to get along with their families. Because the second I opened my mouth, in many cases, what LER movement was talking about when it comes to the 5 of going from 0 to negative, for me, it was sort of the opposite of going 0 to positive. It was like, oh, okay, he must not be one of those kind of blacks. And I'm not advocating people who think like that, but my experiences has been more or less, hey, look, oh, great, he must be one of the good blacks. He'll be one of the blacks who end up like a politician or something like that. All right, we'll let you date our daughter. I mean, yeah.
Okay, I get it. So shout out to JB. $5, and I think the last point is he's one of the good blacks. Okay, let me put that there. Let's go to Max City because he hasn't talked in a while. Let's go to Max City. I know Max City is niggified, but you do have some white women in your pornos, man. I've noticed some of those things. So let me talk to you about that, man, because you sound like a nigga that hang out at Leroy's Chicken and Grits house. So how is sounding like a nigga helped you with white women or non-black women?
All right, man. The white women choosing all the time, man. It's the sisters that ain't fucking with me. I think the sisters, for the most part, due to the fact that I'm so well known in the city, and black women, they so up on game, they so worried about me gaming them that we kind of cancel each other out. You know what I mean? They got this fear that I'm gonna put them on the track or take some money from them or something. I don't know what the fuck it is, man. But the white girls show me love, give me rhythm all the time. Now I got a partner, right? Who he sounds just like Donovan Sharpe. He got like a 6-figure government job or whatever. Sounds super white, super square. He can't get no pussy from no sisters at all. You know what I mean? But he come up on white girls all day. You know what I mean? So if that'll help you out right there, the sisters for the most part, if they listening to you talking and you don't have that sort of, the typical way that a brother should talk, it's like an immediate turn off. Shoot, because like I said, there's no way that these females shouldn't want to get with my partner. You know what I mean? He got money, he got a crib, he got a car, he got loot. But just because you don't talk in a particular way, like Donovan, they don't want to fuck with. And the sisters don't want to fuck with me because they think I'm a pimp them and shit. So
you probably will.
And you goddamn right, you bitch, you owe me. They know what's up. Shit. So that's what it is, man. That is what it is.
Okay. Let me do this real quick. We go to ABL real quick. Now, ABL, you have a little bit different experience. Have you been discriminated on by the way you talk by either black or white women? I mean, because I'm curious to know.
No, never. My only issue with black women was because I'm taken now, so I ain't trying to get in trouble. I'm gonna say that right now.
Okay.
Was back long time ago was when they get to know me. And then if I know I'm smart. Let's
talk about that.
Yeah, that's deep.
Let's talk about that, man.
Yeah.
All right. What happens is sometimes some black women, when they get to know you and they figure out you're smart, that's a turn off for them because they can't really manipulate you like they might do some with the hoodlums they deal with.
Right. No doubt.
Manipulate you how? Like how? What do you mean?
Just tell you anything that they'll tell you things that don't make no sense. And then you question them about it and then they get upset. But to a dude that's in the street, he'll take whatever she say for gospel because he don't understand what's really going on. So she can't exert that power over you when you are smarter than she is. That was my only problem, was when they get to know you. They like, because I'm tall, I'm 6'3", and they like how I look, they like my height or whatever. So it's like, okay, now let's get to know each other. All of a sudden, here I am talking like I have a brain in my head. That's a turn off.
Yeah, it's kind of like going what I was talking about, man. You know what I mean? It's like me with the sisters, we kind of cancel each other out because they got this fear, you know what I mean, that I'm going to sniff out their bullshit. You know what I mean? They can't run game on me. So a lot of them, they just, swerve me. You know what I mean? They're like, you ain't going to be able to run game on Mac. It's not going to happen. Okay, you know what I mean? That's the equivalent of what ABL spit.
Okay. Let's go to oh shit! Look who just came in.
Brandon, the big dog.
Brandon, now you better get yourself up in here, Tatum, getting all the millions of views and shit. I gotta try to get an autograph before you blow up. Brandon Tatum, using proper English should not be considered talking white. Utilizing the English language is an advantage to succeed in English speaking country. Sup, my brother. Shout out to ABL as well. Hold on, Brandon Tatum. You gotta. I know you busy probably. In Congress right now, because I think you're gonna, you know what I mean, replace Donald Trump as president. But if you can come on for a minute, man, and explain some of this. I got some big YouTuber friends, man. I might not be shit, but I got some friends who are shit. Okay, and y'all niggas make. Oh, send me the link. Oh shit. You know what? I love when y'all come to the hood, man. ABL, I had to break him into the ghetto about a year ago. He's more comfortable over here now, man. He had it rough over here, man, with Dynas and stuff that robbed him.
Come on. Never.
But ABL, man, he's at home now, man. He's at home, man. When ABL started collabing, he's been at home over here. Let me send the link to Brandon Tatum, man. Officer Brandon Tatum. 1 million subscribers almost, damn near. I feel like it. So Brandon, I sent you the link. Let me go to Bobby Sonora. Bobby, now you don't really sound so white. In a way you kind of do, but not really like not like my boy Rusty or Clutch or Sharpe. But so have you been discriminated against? I want to know that. I mean, with non-black women.
You mean for sounding the way I sound?
Yes. Like non-black women, yes.
Non-black women,
yes.
Well, I can say that one time, and like ABL said, like there's this. Well, actually, it was last year. I was dating this chick, and then she said that, like, so I wear glasses too, and I also, wear contacts. Wear my glasses. She was like, and then at one point she was like, "I like you drunk, and I like you when you're nerdy and not when you're hood." And I thought that was interesting because, like, something like, it's like you and I were talking, like, we switched. It's called like switching dictions, you know what I'm saying? And like, so sometimes, I mean, I still wear a wave cap, I mean, like, put after you take a shower, get up in the morning, put the wave cap on and stuff like that. So that's still something I do. But I don't think I can't really say that I've really been discriminated. Actually, I will say this. I think that at some levels, like I was talking about that one chick that was at the and the one chick I was talking to you about earlier, she was Asian. But the one chick that I was talking to you about, the one that was at the speed dating, sometimes they like to actually have they get a thrill out of knowing that somebody has like a voice that sounds more black, because to them, like at a certain point, at a certain level, when you deal with someone that you think they sound white, what you're dealing with is the female side of wanting a provider, wanting a long-term partner, looking for security. When you deal with a voice that's like alpha, you're dealing with short-term mating strategies. So I think that these women that they already make their own money, really the only way you can get them is if you're gonna fuck the shit out of them, or you really make a lot more money than they do. So at that point, it's kind of like they just want the thrill. They just want the ride. So I think that a lot of brothers that sound real black could get a lot of non-black women. Now the one that told me that she liked me nerdy rather than being hood, she was from California. So, you know, she was from like what, Santa Ana or something like that. So, you know, like Californians, you know, I think it all depends on where they're from. I think there's so much more to it than just sounding black. I think it depends on regionally, like what region they're from, where they grew up, you know, stuff like that. Those types of things.
Because white people sound different from region to region. Like where I'm at in Tennessee is night and day from even Virginia. And it's really a border state of Virginia. But when you go to like Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, the white people sound way different than they do here. I mean, we're talking about like Georgia, you know, real country. That's a whole different thing than how they sound in California. So region to region, you got to think about that as well. Think about how a white person coming from California will be received in Texas or in Georgia or something like that. You know, it'd be a total difference.
And just to add something right quick.
No,
I was just add something right quick.
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, now I was just saying for ABL, yeah, I got a cousin from Alabama. I can't even understand him. That's all.
Right.
Okay. Let's go to Clutch, and then we're gonna come to Brandon Tatum. Got that nice shave, boy. You trying to copy me, dog? I know. Let's go to Clutch real quick, man. Go to Clutch.
Yeah, Brandon's trying to copy me, by the way. But,
Okay.
No, but so I have an aunt who lives in the East Bay area, and I would visit her like at least once a year. And what I've noticed is that the standard of what it is to be black even changes from region to region. Like in the DC area, especially DC, PG County, that shit crap hole, whatever. Obviously, I was whitewashed, and I had to basically fight almost the entire hood every other day. I know that's hyperbole, but when I went to the Bay Area, what's up?
Yeah, the Bama. You probably heard that. Yeah, times.
Exactly. I was the Bama, but I had a triple IQ. Exactly. No, but when I went to the Bay Area, like I wasn't given a lot of shit. Like a lot of people were, yo, dude, seem like a cool ass dude. You want to hang out? All this other kind of shit. I even was able to, you know, link up with some chicks when I was in the East Bay Area. Just talk. And for some reason, that wasn't considered being whitewashed. Like the way I talked, the way I acted. I mean, some people even gave me some props on that, and they would tell me, yo, just do what you do, stay out of that bullshit. The standard of blackness, I think, even changes from region to region.
Okay. Let me do this. I want to give some shout outs real quick. Zardell McKnight, thank you for super chat. My man, for the third day in a row, Pedro the IT Mon out of Canada. I think it's more beneficial to be able to articulate as black men these days. We are trying to move up economically. What type of women are we trying to attract? I think he just hit it on. And shout out to Max City Limits. He came, his computer crashed. Somebody asked, is that the same Max City from X2 with all the porn sites? Yes, that is him. Okay, he's doing some nasty ass shit. All right, so let me do this. Shout out to let me start Brandon Tatum with the next topic. I think he gonna really take this into another level because you know Brandon Tatum is strong on his opinions. So I want to know, Brandon, you made a comment on your super chat. Thank you again for the support, brother. You say using proper English should not be considered talking white. Utilizing the English language is an advantage to succeed in a, I think it's meant to say any English speaking country. So let me ask you this: is there such a thing as talking or sounding white?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, is it legitimate? No, but I think it's a such thing in the black community. So when you grow up in the black community, if you sound and use proper English, you don't use African American vernacular, stuff like that. People say you're trying to be white. I'm sorry about the typos on the super chat. I meant that it's advantageous to speak English in English speaking countries.
Right.
And the reason why I say this is because there's a lot of I guess research that has been done when it comes to the language that you speak and how that can help you in your advancements in a certain society. So speaking proper English gives you better opportunity to prosper in America, for instance.
Let me just say this real quick, Brandon Tatum. When I hear you, I close you sound, not to be offended, you sound like a nigga I grew up with. You sound ethnically very, very black. Anybody disagree with me real quick?
Yeah.
You sound like a
I can
nigga.
see it.
What'd you say?
I can see it.
He sound like a nigga that just sold somebody like some weed down the street. I mean, not like when you hear Brandon Tatum, like if Brandon Tatum was like, I'm a mixtape rapper, I would believe it. Like, even though I know that you're not sounding, you sound like a straight up nigga. Like you do, like one of us.
Let me say this. I grew up in the hood, man, and
I can tell.
Only recently, in 2008 when I got saved, I stopped cussing. But like my whole life, man, I was cussing. I had gold teeth in my mouth. I got Young Savage tattooed across my stomach. Like, I mean, I just started realizing that it's more to life than to be cool and trendy and all that.
So that's what kind of, I mean, like to me, because I think you have a different experience because like ABL, he sounds black, but you sound more like, okay, I grew up, nigga, with, 1 bedroom, 0 bath apartment black. So I want to know this for you, right? And I know you made one of the videos that I saw with you that caught my attention was, besides the Donald Trump video when you're still as a police officer, you talked about your college experience of what you thought about white people and then primarily, interracially dating, and then what you actually found out. So what I want to know, as an ex-athlete, you were, All-American high school football player, also Parade All USA Today, Parade All-American. What I want to know is this: has, in your opinion, has you talking the way that you do now versus the way that you used to talk, has it helped you at least gain attraction from non-African American women?
Is my feed coming through okay?
It is now. It was lagging a little bit before.
Yeah, I'm like loading the video. I'm loading the video while I'm talking to you because I'm trying to get my YouTube video on. So I might have to cut that out. But it didn't change for me, man. I think what it did was it changed the type of women, not necessarily the color. Because when I had gold teeth, all the white girls wanted to ride with me in my car, listening to Lil Webby, and they didn't care. And the black girls didn't care either.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But as I got older and as I stopped cursing as much, I think the quality, both black and white, the quality of women and the way I'm presented in multiple atmospheres. Like I could be around anybody and at least be reasonable. I can't help the Texas accent and I can't help some of the way I talk. I'm not great, speaking English language, but I think that it has helped me since I stopped cursing and try to be more conscious about how I talk.
Okay. Straight Oak Cliff.
Let me ask you. I want to bring this to the conversation. I know Max City Limits is trying to come back, but is there such a thing as talking or sounding white? Because ABL says there's no such thing. Darren Brown made a comment about the guys who talk more for their core and not less nasally. So is there sounding white? Such thing.
Who's that for? Is
That's
that
LAR?
Is for anybody over?
How you
like I said before, it's when people say that, in my opinion, it says they're not using their God-given voice. There's nothing about being able to pronounce words. It's just that's not your God-given voice. And and I think one of the things people, I guess, don't want to say is when somebody says you sound like you're talking white, I think they're trying to say you sound like you assimilated, and because talking black is equivalent to not being assimilated to the society per se.
Mm-hmm. But we are assimilated to society because, like I was saying earlier, once you go overseas,
I ain't done, bully. Is this autism?
Yeah, a bully.
I was making a quick point, but go ahead.
So would you go ahead?
The bully Logan, Anthony Bully Logan. We call him in this part.
What I was gonna say was, to say that it's not assimilating is not true because we all have American accents, regardless of whether you sound like you're quote unquote black or quote unquote white. Once you go overseas, they'll tell you that you sound American. Yeah. You think that you have unique, like you all sound American at the end of the day. Like an African, go to Nigeria and see how they talk and see if you sound the same as them.
No,
I bet you it won't be the same at all.
What I mean by assimilated is that if you have a black voice, like we know if we listen to singers, we know if a white guy is trying to do extra to sound blacker, it's just not gonna work. It's the same thing when people are talking. Like when people hear a black person and the diction, not the diction, but the tone is off, it's kind of, in some ways, I think people are taking it like, oh, you're really trying to this is your way to be non-threatening to people. And that's really what I mean by assimilated.
That's a good point.
If I'm talking black, it's threatening. If I'm talking non-black, it's non-threatening.
It's a very good point.
I think it should be labeled as something else other than sounding white, because that's not, that's not an accurate way to describe it. You could say that your voice does not sound like it's natural, but to say that you're sounding white, to me, doesn't make any sense for somebody to say that, because like I was saying, there's all types of different ways that white people actually talk. It's not just one way. Here in America, especially, like there's a bunch of different ways. Region to region, state to state is all different. Go to
but it's a power dynamic. I think it's a power dynamic. Like, we're not the only people. Like, every other group in America who's non-black or non-white has people in their group that sound that they say are trying to sound white. And I think that's just more of a power dynamic. Like, if you sound like this or people take you as this, it's an easier road for you to go. Or it makes you look smarter. It makes you look more pliable to what's going on. It makes you more acceptable. Because if I was Arab, if I was Hispanic, if I was Samoan, and I was able to change my tone in that way, it would all be acceptable and non-threatening and looked at as more intelligent.
Well, I mean, that's different, because if you're coming from a different country, now you got an accent from that particular country where you came from. But if you have somebody that's been here, if you got a third generation Arab, they're not going to sound like they came from Saudi Arabia yesterday. They're going to sound like an American. When they go back to Saudi Arabia, they're not going to be seen as a Saudi Arabian. They're going to be seen as an American.
Yeah, but if a Saudi Arabian start talking like Ted Koppel, it's going to look funny.
If they come from Saudi Arabia like yesterday, because that's not how they were talking in Saudi Arabia. They're speaking a different language. They're going to have an accent that's not going to be, it won't sound American. But if their children have children and their children have children, and they've been in America for a whole lot of time, they were born here, they're not going to sound like somebody from Saudi Arabia. They sound like an American.
Let me say this real quick. I've heard second and third generation Indians have that straight up Indian accent, like they've been born, like they've been in India. I know people like that. I know what you're saying, but I think they end up having both accents. They know how to talk like an Indian, and they know how to talk, the American English. Because I know a girl here in my medical school who's from actually Virginia, and she sounds just like she might have was born in Bangladesh the other day. I mean, not to say
she born
country, but she sounds like an Indian. Like,
where was she born though?
She was born in America. So I've seen
first generation,
second generation.
That's interesting.
You even have I know what you're saying. You're more likely to not keep that, but you do have some people that can at least, because even Ringo TV Raw, right, is like a Jamaican, I think, and if he wants to sound like that, you would never know that he was from here. I think they end up knowing how to use both accents. I never. Have you ever heard of a Nigerian that come to America and they have kids? Like, have you ever heard of like a third generation Nigerian sound like a Nigerian from Nigeria? Have you ever heard that before? No, not a third generation. No. Okay. No. I get your point. Let me kind of go to this real quick. Let me go to we're just go to Rusty.
Just change it when it's convenient.
Go ahead, LAR.
I'm sorry. When the Nigerians, they do sound like that. They just change it when they're more around their people.
Right. Now, I'm talking about like a third generation Nigerian. Have you ever heard them sound like they are from Nigeria?
Yeah. That's what I mean. They'll sound like you and I if we were chilling. But I've hung around these people's kids like that. Like, yeah. But if they're with their family, it's different. Like, you can't hear my New Orleans accent, but I can turn it on just like that. It's not a big deal.
No, I agree with LAR on that.
Okay. I never heard it like that. Okay.
it's just the way I grew up and where I grew up at, the area I grew up in. It was just like that, man. When you're around your family members, you say all kind of stuff. You cuss, you use slang, y'all say all kind of stuff. But when you get in a professional environment, you know, you try to, you know, enunciate your words a little better so you don't sound like an idiot.
Right. That's true. Let me go to Rusty Balls real quick. Rusty, let me ask you this: do you think there's such a thing as sounding white?
Absolutely.
No such thing.
So here's a interesting statistic that I remember about 10 years ago, and my numbers might be off, but what I recall was that there was a statistic where there was actually not a stat, but a survey where a couple of white people actually listened to random people over the phone, and they actually had to guess the race of the person that was speaking, and they actually were able to guess with 85% accuracy. 85% of the time, they got it right. Now, here's the thing. Now, this isn't even taking into account their vernacular, actually. Now, here's what's really interesting is Montel Williams is a very good example. He speaks proper as hell. But if you listen to his voice, if you had no idea who the guy was, and you listen to him over the phone, he might be speaking proper, but you can still tell that he is black. Mm-hmm. All right? So it's not just so much a speech pattern, but also the voice itself, to where you can actually tell that the person is black. So I absolutely do believe that there is a such thing as sounding black or sounding white, regardless of the accent.
I definitely agree. I don't know what it is about it, but you definitely. Okay, who disagrees with this besides ABL? Anybody, jump in. Hey guys, I had a great time, but I think the voice comes from.
That's what I was saying on my way out. I think.
Go ahead.
I think I'm about to be on my way out. Thanks for hanging out, but I was just going to say on my way out that I think it comes from the cheekbones. I think it comes from the airways. Like I can hear, like if you hear A. Marie's sound, you could tell that she's got like she sounds Asian, but she's singing a black song. Like you can tell when someone has a certain like vibration. I think it comes from the bone structure in their face. So that's all I was gonna say.
Okay, I can agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah, because when you hear typically when you hear black people talk, you're gonna hear it'll be deeper than the average non-black person's voice.
Okay,
for the most part, but not always. That's not all the time though. So that's why I say it's kind of hard to say sounding black, sounding white.
Yeah, Hall & Oates ruined it for me. I thought they were black.
But let me ask you this: as far as instead of the sound, and whoever wants, let's go to Mac City real quick. What I want to know is this, because if you use, a certain, I know, like me as a black person, I like being more niggified. I'm more comfortable there, but I do notice, depending on who I am, I have to maybe sometimes dumb down my vocabulary or dumb down my my vernacular to kind of fit in. So even if you do sound black and not the voice, is there a difference between the vernacular that black people who are, let's say, assimilated, quote unquote, use, and if you use a certain vocabulary, regardless of how you sound, are you then trying to sound white versus, let's say, your Ebonic or your slang? Let's talk vocabulary right now if we can. So whoever wants to jump in on that, I don't know if it's Max City. Let's jump in on the vernacular part because like Tony Maceo has a excellent vocabulary. Is he trying to sound white when he's using these words? To some
First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, then. I don't really like to say trying to. If you ignorant, you know what I mean. If you have a low IQ and someone spits some like 3-syllable words at you, I guess you could claim that a person is trying to sound white or trying to be above you or trying to sound educated or whatever. But my personal opinion is no. I do understand the vocabulary is very powerful and it can sway the conversation left or right to your favor. Just like the gentleman that's on the panel right now, the police officer, what's his name?
That's Tatum.
Okay. Just like me, I did 10 years as a correction officer in, one of the worst prisons in Southern Ohio. And I've been in the military. So sometimes if I would get, somebody got feedback. So sometimes if I would get stopped by the police or whatever, once again, using vocabulary, not to say that I'm trying to con the cop or whatever, but just something as simple as saying, if he's asking you questions, you say, negative, officer, positive, or not positive, but affirmative. These are terms that usually an officer or someone in law enforcement or someone in the military would use. You know what I mean? That's something that the officer can look at, you can get some sort of connection, some sort of camaraderie with him. You know what I mean? And typically it does work. They'll go ahead and, be a little soft on me and be like, were you a veteran? Did you serve? Or whatever. And be like, oh, that would segue into my, my prior service, my veteran service. You know what I mean? So vocabulary is very important. It's very powerful. And I don't think that if, you basically using vocabulary to your advantage, or you're basically just being you, it doesn't mean you're trying to sound white. It just means you have an extensive vocabulary.
No, that's a good point. I want to talk about police stops again with the vocabulary. Let's go to real quick. Let's go to Clutch. Clutch, do you feel using extensive vocabulary, regardless of, because we have agreed that you didn't sound quote unquote white, but let's say you didn't sound white. Let's look at a guy like Umar Johnson, who is unapologetically black, but has an extensive vocabulary. For example, Reverend C.L. Franklin, who was Aretha Franklin's father, he had a very extensive vocabulary when he preached every Sunday. Do you think that people use great diction and great vocabulary? Are they sounding? Are they trying to sound white when you hear blacks with very complex vocabulary?
To be honest, I just think it's sounding educated. And can you guys hear me better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So honestly, if you're using an extensive vocabulary, for the most part, it's just being educated. And the fact that we're having this debate about, well, if you use an extensive vocabulary, you're sounding white, is ludicrous. But it does help in the sense of you getting by better, getting easier, or getting off with the cops, or getting the job. I mean, yeah, for instance, myself, I tend to take it further than having an extensive vocabulary by, I guess, having an Anglophone accent. But I have seen people, I've been raised around people who clearly sounded black. You could tell they were black, but they were highly educated, in some cases more educated than myself, and which I was able to learn a lot from, even to the point in which they actually taught me some things that were helpful in my field or just in my life in general. So as far as this discussion of being educated and just having an extensive vocabulary, that isn't mutually exclusive to being black.
Okay, let me just weigh in on this real quick. And guys who want to ask questions, you know how we do over here. It's a super chat policy. It's a super chat button on the iPhone or Android. Want to support the show. So for those who want to ask questions, I want to say this with regards to vocabulary. Living overseas, and the people that I meet from, let's say, Britain, primarily, they use a more extensive vocabulary in English than Americans do. Like British people, you take an educated British person and an American, person, the American understands the words in the context, because British English and American English are very similar, not the same. Similar, but not the same. When a British person speaks English, it is like fluent, and it is a lot of times complex in the way that they phrase things. And they use much bigger dynamic words than we do. In America, we do not use, we don't try to use so much. Even those of us who are educated, we speak in the most basic, simple English that we can. The British tend not to do that. So what I've noticed when you see Americans, especially Black Americans, try to use words that are outside of the norm. Like, I understand big words when somebody uses those things. Like, I tend not to use it because I don't talk like that, so I don't. Whereas British people, they use more complex and dynamic words when they're speaking all the time, more so than we do. When I hear Black people who try to use words that are outside of the norm that you would normally use when they can say it in a simpler word or term, I become suspect of those people. Not to say that they're trying to act white, but one of the first things that I'll see is I'll notice that, is this person using this word when they don't really have to use it because they want to sound like they're much more smarter than somebody? And then I think secondarily, what somebody thinks is you're trying to become smarter than white so you can make yourself think like you are white, because we do associate high vocabulary, talking smart, big vocabulary, and sounding white. And I noticed that a lot of times, some of the most people who have no kind of collegiate education use some of the biggest fucking words. I won't call no names, but
yeah, I want to comment on that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and comment on that real quick. And see, you already, Mac City, you already know.
I know what you're talking about.
Go ahead, ABL.
Now, the whole thing, man, I mean, it's crazy to think that just because you use a big word that you're trying to be white. That to me, that's just really crazy, because what's the opposite of that? If you use small words, then that means you're being black. If you sound uneducated, it means you're being black. I mean, that whole concept, that's something that you would hear when you're in school. Or you want to use big word, you want to say stuff like cognizant, you trying to be white. I mean, come on. Like, to me, that whole thing is crazy. Now, some people may try to use they may try to say things that don't make any sense. They may try to use a word that they don't understand the meaning of it, but it doesn't mean they're trying to be white. It may just be trying to appear to be more educated than they actually are. But to equate being educated or trying to sound smarter than somebody is with being white, to me, doesn't make any sense.
Well,
okay?
Let me say this. What I've noticed with people who use extensive vocabulary, like I understand, like, you know, like I said, in Britain, I can understand that. From the British, Irish, they use words like, instead of saying aware, they will say cognizant. I get that, right? What I've noticed is that people who use a very advanced vocabulary, they do so on the predisposition of two things. They want to, number one, make somebody feel like they are dumb, typically in our communities, right? And then number two, they do so with the agenda of trying to fit into, let's say, what is white intellectual society. That's what I've felt from, and there's not many people that do this, by the way. This is not, you know, but that's just what I've noticed. And in Mac City, I think you know what I'm talking about. But go ahead, ABL. What do you want to say?
See, the thing is, you know, I've heard of some people, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of the black women I would date in the past, before my current relationship, a lot of them would get to know me and then they get turned off because I'm smart. Okay. I hear all the time, I know you're smart. I know you're smart. I know you're smart. It was a bad thing. Like, I would just be talking normally. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to impress anybody by what I'm saying. I'm not trying to wow them with my extensive vocabulary. I'm just speaking in a normal way that I will always speak. Both of my grandparents were English teachers. You know, anytime I talk to my dad on the phone, if I use improper grammar, he'll scream on me. Boy, don't talk like that. What's wrong with you? He like, you know, you don't talk like, you know, I would get those things from my parents or my grandparents. So I'm just speaking how I normally speak. This is just me. And you get criticized for that in the black community. People think you're trying to talk down. You're trying to be better. You're trying to act like you're smart. You think you know everything. I've heard some of that stuff being on these panels. Oh, you think you know everything. I'm just talking how I normally always talk. And it's crazy that we have to dumb ourselves down. I found myself many times dumbing stuff down. You know, and some people I would dumb stuff down for what kind of call me on it. It was like, I saw what you did there. You used a smaller word because you thought I didn't understand it. So I don't even do that anymore. I just speak. If you get offended by me speaking just how I normally speak, then that's on you. Don't get so offended. If you think that my basic words that I'm saying to you, or if they're advanced or whatever it is, if you think there's too much for you to understand, take some night classes, learn how to read, do something, but don't get mad at me. Don't act like I'm trying to impress you. I'm just speaking my normal way of speaking. And I think more of us need to be like that. We need to become more educated, understand the English language. You got people acting like this thing called African-American variety English is a real thing. Meanwhile, you got black folks overseas speaking Portuguese and French, trying to learn English. They could come over here and take your money, take your jobs. And we over here worried about, oh, you're trying to use a big word to impress me and not feel offended. It's retarded. But I digress.
Hey, O'Shea.
Let's go to Mac City. We're going to go to Brandon. Go ahead, Mac City.
No, I'm just about to say, you know, many times I had a broad over here, man, and she look at my book collection, and the first thing come out her mouth is, why you got all these weird ass books? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've had about 4 or 5 females come over here and just, you know, turn their nose up because I got a apartment full of books.
Okay.
I'm like, bitch, you don't get your ass up out of here. I'm done, man. I ain't got time for this nonsense for real. And then there's another test I like to do. Like if I'm dealing with an idiot, a lot of times I'll turn my TV on and I'll put my remote control down. And then of course I'll tell the female, hey, flip to whatever channels you want to get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. And then, of course, I know what kind of animal I'm dealing with. You know, if she flipped to Love and Hip Hop, what's them other nonsense they be watching,
Basketball
man?
Wives.
Basketball Wives, Power, Empire, all that shit. I'm like, I'm dealing with one of these. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So I know what category to put your stupid ass in, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm about to game you. I'm about to put your ass, I'm about to put you to work for real. Cause I'm trying to tell you, I can't understand it. I'm like, you turning your nose up at me because I like to read. And then you sit your ass down on my couch and you start looking at Love and Hip Hop, bitch. Okay. I had to get that off my chest.
I just want to ask you guys real quick. Have you ever had a woman feel like you're so intelligent? I know maybe especially with some of our African American women, and they ask you just one question. They ask you, like, why are you? I mean, I'm curious. Like, why are you interested in me? Like, what do you want? like, what do you like? Why are you dating me? You should be dating someone. Like, what do you want? They actually want to know. Like, why are you fucking with me? Have that happened to anybody on the panel before?
No comment.
Okay,
no, it ain't happening to me.
Let's do this. Let's do this. So let's let Brandon weigh in on it. Okay, and then we'll ask Brandon, whatever you want to talk about, man, and we'll ask the second part. I ain't trying to incriminate nobody, but let's go ahead, Brandon. Whatever you want to weigh in on, brother.
Yeah, I think everything that we've been talking about all can exist at one time. I mean, you have individuals who are very, very intelligent. They speak a certain way, and it works for them in various backgrounds. And then some people they're not intelligent, and they may try to, I guess, promote themselves as being intelligent, and people can see it. But you know, I agree with ABL on the fact that I don't like the fact that we use it and say a person is trying to be white. I understand that the dynamic exists, but I don't like us using that. In school, sometimes they say white, and then they'll say that you're trying to be proper. But I think that the overarching issue here is that it's sad that in African American culture we have this dynamic that being intelligent, speaking proper English, you know, and those things are considered to be shunned upon. You know, when I was growing up, the crazier stuff that you say, if you got swag and you talking crazy, you saying what's up, cuz, and all this other stuff, and you saying the N-word, you were normal. If you were doing stuff out of the box, man, people didn't really want to mess with you.
That's true.
And I would have been single if I was talking proper English when I was in high school. But it's sad, man, and I wish that we could change that as African American people and just start to have the standard, like ABL said, of just being more intelligent. Read more books. Your vocabulary grows when you read more. If you don't read, you won't understand, you know, the English language as well, and you have to use very, very small words, and sometimes you use them out of context.
You know what's so funny? What this guy just said. Robert Morris, using complex words in the wrong context makes you look foolish. This is what I found. People who are not formally educated, let's say, I noticed this, like the higher education the one achieves, they are less likely inclined to, they may understand these words, right? And I read, for example, this one book, Robbins Pathology. Let me break it out here. This has some of the most, I took this class last year, right? But Robbins Pathology has some of the most ridiculously hard words, like, you know, if you have to, especially in science. But I read those type of books because I have to, but I don't necessarily use them in my everyday conversation. But, you know, especially like in the black church, right? Because, you know, black preachers were trying to, and I don't know if you guys can remember this if you grew up in church. Preachers were trying to make themselves look good, so they would use some of the most hardest, complex words in their sermons. I used to hear that all the time, and I think
why is that a bad thing though?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a bad thing. Like C.L. Franklin was doing it all the time, but like the first time I ever heard the word chagrin was through Reverend C.L. Franklin. I did. It made you have to think of certain things. But what I'm trying to say is this, that certain people, I think if it's an overkill, you can automatically think like, okay, well, are you trying to do this so that you can fit into a certain type of?
I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think that people that do overkill are just trying to present themselves as being more educated than they are. But to say that it's like, oh, you're trying to be like these people over here, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. And furthermore, I think we should encourage more high vocabulary use, because you learn a lot about life in general from words, because words come from somewhere. They come from a certain experience or a certain time that has already passed, and you're able to learn things from that. That's why it's also good to study other languages, because there are certain words for things in other languages that do not exist in English. And then you get to getting down to the etymology and stuff like that. You get to learn a lot more about just the world around you by learning language. So, I don't think we should be trying to, look at people in a way that they're trying to fit in with other people if they're trying to use like, kind of like hardy vocabulary.
I just found a new word just now. Pedantic. I didn't know that word. Shout out to the dude.
Pedantic. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that just now. I just found it out. Well, fuck. Thank you. Pedantic. Okay. I know what over scrupulous meant, but I know now that it's synonymous with pedantic. See, y'all some smart niggas. All right. Who wants to weigh in on anything? Just say whatever the fuck you want to say. I don't care. Anybody want to weigh in on anything that they want to say? Go ahead, LAR.
I think whether it's consciously or subconsciously, in America, we speak slang anyways. It's not English as in British English.
Yes.
So everything in the way we speak is coming from a dumbed down version of English anyway.
That is very true.
So it goes further down the rabbit hole the more ignorant you get with it, I think one of the differences is when, like, we're used to people being able to talk well. Like, most of our historical leaders did not talk horribly.
No,
they didn't. So we're used to it, but I think there is a nuance when you hear somebody just saying, like, talking like Michael Eric Dyson, you'll think he bullshit. You're like, well, you don't need to use encrypto-fascism in the middle of a sentence about it doesn't make sense. But and I think that's why it's looked at it when brothers use too many big words, you get the side eye. And then on the flip side of that, I think when we look at white people filibuster, they're looked at like salesmen or spokesmen, and people just think they're Stephen Hawkins, and I think that's something that we do in particular.
Okay.
That's right.
But
okay. I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is for the officer that's on the panel. I just want his personal opinion on this. Let's say, you're having a situation, an instance of maybe a domestic, disturbance or whatever, and you meet someone, let's just go ahead and say the stereotypical black dude, and he's talking, the typical yin yang, the typical stereotypical, rah-rah shit, versus someone, right, who basically would kind of like speak your vernacular, who basically would speak more military jargon or more so King's perfect English. Would you feel more comfortable either or does it doesn't even matter to you?
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right.
Because I think you brought up a good point though, that we need to be, as people, we should be able to be diverse in the way we speak. And this is just my personal opinion. When I go and talk to certain groups of people, I like to be able to identify with them. And when I go to speak to, various groups, and then also when I was a police officer, this was huge. When you're talking to a juvenile, you may speak to them in a different way than you're talking to somebody who's a business owner. That's different than you talk to somebody in the Hispanic community or the black community. Because I know a lot of times when I would speak to black people and they were a little more hood, like I understand the lingo, I understand the terminology, and they may call me bro, and I may call them bro back. Like I'll be like, yeah, bro, you gotta do this. When I'm talking to somebody professional, I try not to use slang words like bro, y'all, and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm not being fake. I'm just learning how to be diverse in the way I communicate.
Okay. Let me just talk about this. You bring up a good point. I want to talk about police stops, right? Because I want to ask the panel a question. Has you talking proper? You talking quote unquote? I don't know, white. You get pulled over by a speeding ticket. The way that you communicate with the officer in that tone, has it helped you? I wanted to say this real quick. One night when I was I graduated from Sacramento State University, although I started off at Howard University, and I came back and finished home. I was going to a club or something, and me and my homeboys. I mean, it was them they had weed in the car and an open bottle of Hennessy, and my boy had a baby mama driving. And the car obviously didn't have any tags. So this had to be about like 2003. I had my nice little Bill Cosby sweater. I mean, not that I was trying to peel Cosby nobody, but Bill Cosby sweater. ABL, I heard you. So don't get me, dog. Because I had the collar shirt on and stuff. And so I had my student ID. So they pulled the car over, and looks like 3 black guys. They called for backup and all this stuff. And they pulled us out, and I was, yes, officer, no, sir. When I was talking like I was a white dude, I showed the dude my school ID, and I'm the darkest dude there. He pulled me to the side, and he started roughing my friends up, throwing all them against the car and shit like that, and he was fucking them up, but he didn't fuck me up at all. And he didn't even, he just kind of let me go. And whereas, he was giving them motherfuckers tickets and shit. So, and I've also had Rusty. I'm going to put you on mute real quick.
All right. Sorry about that.
All right. So I'll just put you in there. So I want to ask the panel, is like, has you, talking or changing your voice tone in a police situation, something like we're going to kind of go left real quick. Do you speak like a white guy to make the officer feel a little bit more safe, more comfortable? Maybe he let you go because of that. Let me start with, I'll work myself back. Let's go start with Clutch. Then we'll go to Rusty. So let's start with you, Clutch. I mean, do you think that has helped you in police stops?
So I have never dealt with a altercation with a police that went negative. Okay. Now, the worst that has happened to me was, an officer verbally yelling at me for speeding or whatever. So here in Utah, for instance, I have been pulled over a total of 5 times, most of which were due to minor traffic violations that everybody does and that everybody still does. But in all those cases, in this 2% black state, guess how many tickets I received?
0.
And to be honest, I do credit a lot of that, not just towards the way I sound, but the way I conduct it myself.
Okay.
I mean, if I had more of a black accent, but if I conducted myself in a similar way, I honestly think that the outcomes would be the same.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to let's go. Rusty, take yourself off of mute, and then we can kind of go to you and see what you have to say about it.
Okay, so in my situation, I do believe that it was a very big help. I want to say that probably 3/4 of the time that I've been pulled over, I've gotten a warning. Now, I also want to say that I was in the Navy for 11 years, so a lot of the times when I got pulled over, I was in uniform. So I think, I think that really helped a lot. There's also the fact that I'm a white-collar professional, so when I get off work, or if I'm on the way to work and I get pulled over, well, I'm, dressed in a button-down shirt and slacks. Then also with my demeanor, my appearance, the way I speak, I think it's helped tremendously. And the cases where even if I did get a ticket, 75% of those times, I'm actually able to fight it and beat it. So, I'm actually able to use that to my advantage plenty of times when I get involved with the police.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to Mac City. You have already weighed in on it, but go ahead and
let me do it. Let me do it again. I want to talk again.
Go ahead, man. Get the flag on. Huh?
Well, like I said, my secret weapon has always been to use military vernacular. You know what I mean? And not only that, but of course, it's your energy. You got to realize that these are people, and they're trying to do a job, and they don't need you giving them no shit. I did 10 years working in a prison, and I was always appreciative of when the inmate would just let me do my goddamn job. I ain't trying to make shit, personal. I ain't trying to, make your day hard, but I got rules to enforce here. You know what I'm saying? We got rules for a reason. Just let me do this, you know what I mean? And I'm going to send you on your way. But the more you, act the ass, you're going to make this shit personal. And I'm going to give you what you're asking for. You feel me? So I don't get a cop no reason to trip, you know what I mean? My hands is on the wheels, 10 to 2, so you can see my hands, you know what I mean? I'm very non-aggressive. Yes, sir. No, sir. Military vernacular. And I've been given tickets 2 times, and that was when I had my stupid ass brother with me. Now my brother was a criminal. He was a convict. And, and every time he seen a cop, he was gonna make sure that the cop knew, exactly how he was feeling. You know what I mean? He cussed the cop out, fuck you, cop, this. And I'm like, you don't do that with me. Not in my ride. You don't do that, man. So, he didn't ride with me too often because he was always, he's these reactionary blacks. You fucking with me because, I'm black, all that kind of shit. Of course, I had a different sort of thought process, me working in the military and working in law enforcement. I was just let him do his thing and shut up. Don't cuss at him. Don't exacerbate the problem. Just let him do his thing, man. But, and then we get the ticket. Then he looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, he didn't have to give us that ticket. I'm like, yes, he did. Like, the way you was acting, the way your ass was carrying on, you lucky we didn't get shot the way you was acting, man, for real. So, yeah, like I said, be cool, be calm, be accommodating. Don't be threatening. Try to establish some sort of rapport or link with the cop. Let him know, that he's just doing his job. You know what I mean? Don't make it personal. And you do that usually, they'll cut you a little slack.
Okay.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to go ahead. We want to go in ABL right now?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wayne, dog.
All right. Now, as far as me, I never had any issues with the police at all. I've been pulled over a few times, just a basic traffic violations, 50 and a 35, expired tags, stuff like that. And usually I get off with a warning. I got ticketed a couple of times. One time I was in like a little, what they call it, a checkpoint, and I had expired tags. So they were writing up everybody that went through the checkpoint. So I got a ticket for that, but I went to court and beat it. And I had a speeding ticket when I was like 17. So beside from that, I never had any issues. And it's not like this big special thing I got to go through. They pull me over. I'll turn on my dumb light. I have my stuff ready. I give it to them. I answer their questions. I'll go about my day. I'm not trying to make this be some kind of big political stand or nothing like that. There's no need for that. All they want to do is get through the process easy and simple. I make it easy and simple, and I'll go about my day. I don't understand why people talk about traffic stops like it's some kind of life or death situation. It's not really that deep. Just giving your stuff and go about your business.
Okay.
Yeah, simple as that.
All right, let's go to LA. And that's a good point. And Young Jay just made a pretty good statement. It's controversial, but let's go to LAR real quick. And I'm going to ask this last question, and we'll go ahead and close it out for tonight. But LAR, what's been your experience?
Everything. Everything. For the most part, I'm a person that, if when I've gotten into situations with the police, you do your job. If I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong.
Right.
If I'm right, I already know it could still go left and I could be in the wrong. But the one thing I've kept over the years that might sound weird, but I don't like people insulting my intelligence or coming at me with disrespect for nothing. I don't care who it is. So the bad situations were normally when guys would when they felt like they just could go too far, and I had to be like, look, if you want to write me a ticket, write me a ticket. But if you try to pick a fight with me, I'm going to beat your ass because I'm not doing it. And, and it's crazy, but that's how things would chill out because it'd be like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm going to respect you, just respect me. And I've been in a situation where guys have the guns drawn automatically or, I had one particular issue where I was going to my car and there was like 6 squad cars pull up like, we think you're about to go shoot something up. And I'm looking like, it's cold outside, dog. It's called walking fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck? So, for me, at the end of the day, if you can, I'm going to respect you, but I expect you to respect me too. Just do your job and I get it. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we both can go home. That's me.
I've always, Dennis, if I knew that if they said, oh, you were speeding, I never said, no, I didn't. I would say, oh, officer, I'm very sorry. Even if I didn't think I was doing it, I would automatically say I was guilty. And then he would be like, did this nigga just say he was guilty? Well, son, don't go ahead on and just keep going. Don't do it again. I'm like, all right, let me just play this little bitch role real quick. And they 99% of the time let me go.
Right.
Are they giving me a ticket? Thank you so much for the ticket. I appreciate it. Well, son, just make sure next time that you don't do that. And I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like, I never try to, no, I wasn't. Like, once you do that, they're going to fuck your ass up. Oh, I'm going to give you 3 tickets. What? Hold on, wait. Wait, I think I see something else here. So that's what I always, the first thing I do is I just admit guilty. I had a pastor friend, sister pastor. He goes, he was from Mississippi. He goes, whenever I see the officers, I say, Your Honor, your officer, sir. I'm so sorry, Your Honor. Officer, sir.
Ain't how you talk. Stop it.
He used to talk like that, man, from himself.
No, he didn't.
He would say that shit, dog. He would just be, he would always get off. And men just want to be respected, man. You play it to them people's. I think it's something about a police officer that wants to be a police officer. I mean, I don't know if it's true. They have some sort of wanting authority. If you kind of play into that.
I mean, you ain't gotta do all that. All you gotta do is just make it simple.
Shit, I do make it simple by kissing the ass. That's what the fuck I do.
I mean, like all you gotta do is like when they pull you over, answer their questions, have your stuff ready, and that's it. I don't understand. Like that's real easy, real simple.
Man, I start putting on the Academy Awards on the motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? When I get pulled over, nigga, the acting comes out. All right, let me just do this real quick. This will be the last one, but so Young Jay says this is going to be controversial. I'm pretty sure it's going to keep us on for a minute. Black Americans are the only people on earth that have to change their appearance. It's the only people that have to change their appearance, their dialect, the way that they walk in order to identify as not being a stereotypical black in society. Wow. That's a pretty good statement there.
I mean, here's the thing about that, though. It's like, okay, why do you have to change the way you like? If you're just behaving as a civilized person, you're okay. If you're not being civilized, then you got to behave like a civilized person. That's not a race thing. That's just a matter of being civilized versus being uncivilized.
Right. Well, okay. Let me. Here's where I think that he may be coming from. To this point, I've heard stories of people that couldn't wear, like, some women have even said this, like, look, I wanted to wear my hair, like, let's say in like a natural afro or natural dreads. I was told that, it's, in order for me to get a job promotion, I needed to look a certain way. I needed to not look so Afrocentric. I've heard many people say that before. So I think to the point where he says that they have to conform to a certain appearance and dialect, I don't think he's wrong on that.
I mean, everybody got to do that, though. You can't just wear whatever kind of hairstyle you want, regardless of what race you are.
Right. True. You got to shave your face, and you got to get your hair cut. Be a police officer, black, white, green, orange. So and I think everybody have cultural dynamics. I mean, it's some people from other countries, people from Asia, they may have traditional garb that they wear or whatever. But when you go to a job interview, you can't wear some of that stuff. You have to dress and conform to social identity. And I don't think it's exclusive for black people. I mean, white people got to get their hair cut too. All these white barbershops around here don't just exist for no reason. They got to get their stuff swooped and cut, and they can put conditioner in their hair too. So I think that I understand where people come from, but they have to look at the big picture. If you just think about black people, then you will feel, oh, black people got to do all this extra stuff. But if you live around the country and you live in white neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods, you realize that everybody is essentially on the same level when it comes to having to conform to some degree.
That's right.
I definitely
Right.
Who has a different point of view? Go ahead.
I don't have a different point of view.
Okay.
I think that over the years, maybe the last 10, 15 years, we've gotten soft in remembering how people were raised. I remember my old school grandparents used to tell me, look, get the job first. Don't go in there trying to be who you want to be and look the way you want to look. You got to put up some numbers and build a reputation for being good. You just don't walk in there any kind of way and like, you're going to accept me. That's bullshit. So, I think some people don't realize, if you want to wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair, cut that shit off and grow it white when you get the job. There are people who have tattoos. When they come for an interview, they wear long sleeves.
Yeah. Yes, this is true.
Me, I got all these tattoos, long sleeves.
Yeah, that's true. Let me. So maybe Young Jay can clarify. I think I still get a sense of. Okay, let me do this. Maurice, I stop on the side of the road, take the keys out, and put them on my dash. Put my hands on the wheel 10 and 2. Yes sir, no sir, and it usually goes smoothly and let me go. I just want to still kind of deal with him more so. Because here's the thing, right? When we talk about being ghetto or speaking ghetto, I mean, and I'm going to say this. A lot of people don't understand. Even Thomas Sowell says this. Like when people say, oh, you're talking like a black ghetto person. The origins of that stuff, it comes from, and Thomas Sowell talks about this also. It comes from white, I guess what you call it, white trash. I don't know, from those
Scots Irish.
Yeah,
trailer trash,
and then blacks adopted that from certain things like this. So this whole, I guess, this culture. What am I trying to say here? Black Americans are the only people who have changed their appearance, dialect, and the way of talking in order to be identified as not being stereotypically black. Okay, so the stereotypically black character that has been you are maybe not that bright, you are you're violent, you are lazy. Because when you think about black people in America, there is a pejorative image that has been portrayed about black people. And so blacks, I think more so than others, because we have been more discriminated against than any other people. We have to work really, really hard to show people that we are not like the stereotype. Now, let's talk about the Asians. Yeah, they have their traditional garb and stuff like this, but we would all agree that, Asians have never been really considered to be like, stupid or necessarily, you don't really have a negative pejorative about Asians as you do about African Americans. So African Americans do have to really try hard to show like, hey, I'm not like those dumb niggas over there. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I agree. I don't want to. I agree with you, man, 100% on that. But this is the thing. Like, I think when he's making that analogy, I think everybody has to some level they have to conform or show or prove that they're not dumb. Like when I worked in the trailer park, I used to work when I was a police officer. I used to work in the trailer park area, and these people, they went through the same thing the black people went through in the hood. But this is what I will say, because I feel like that we're placing the blame on other people when it comes to this. A large majority of the reason why African Americans have to overcome stereotypes is because of other black people. Like a lot of people are committing crimes per capita in the black community, which then makes a lot of us have to then somehow prove that, oh, okay, I'm not like the last person that robbed your store. So when I'm walking around the store, you don't have to follow me around because I'm not like the last person. Or if I wear a hoodie, I'm not like the other 2,000 people that have been robbing people who have been incarcerated wearing hoodies to conceal their identity. I'm not like them. And I think that we have to look at both. Historically, we've been looked at a certain way, but then also we have also damaged our own reputation.
Here's the thing. Prior, what you're saying would make more sense if that might be true now. But those things that I'm talking about have always been the case before blacks had a bad reputation, quote unquote. So even when blacks, I think with blacks committing a lot of crime and that's maybe like the last 30, 40 years, but black people used to be just as law abiding, as anybody else. Those stereotypes have always been there. Before blacks did crimes, when you have blacks that are acting, decent at times, the blacks are doing very well. So
MLK had a speech,
but I can't buy that necessarily because that's always been like that.
Well, MLK had a speech when he was in St. Louis. I think it was in 1959 and 1960. He said that we commit like 59% of all the crimes in St. Louis. At that point, we were like 8% of the population. Like he said that in his speech. So I'm getting the numbers kind of wrong a little bit, but it was a very high portion of the crime. So, that's kind of not really true as far as the last 30 or 40 years.
Well, what I'm saying is this, and again, we would have to look at the statistics, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't doubt that if St. Louis, and I don't know, we have to see what areas are these being committed in and stuff like that. I mean, I get what you're saying, but blacks have not always been looked at, let's say pejoratively, as criminals, thugs, and stuff. The African Americans had, because if that was the case, then I think as far as like black on black crime, we really didn't hear Malcolm X talking about black on black crime, or even Martin Luther King talking about maybe outside of that one incident, but that wasn't necessarily a really great problem with black Americans at this particular time, because we would have more evidence due to speeches from civil rights leaders that there would have been a problem that would have yet to address. I think that those stereotypes of blacks being dumb, because we even see when white people did blackface, they sounded like they were dumb, stupid, ignorant, not necessarily violent, because we didn't see that in blackface, but we did see the evidence of lazy, stupid, don't know what you're talking about, what's this one movie where they this movie about blacks going into Nate Parker made the same movie title. What was it called?
Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation. What was the first Birth of a Nation about? What would happen if Negroes ran their own? Which some of that is kind of true. I won't disagree, but it really portrayed blacks as being very fucking stupid. So we got to understand that, you know, outside of what Brandon Tatum is saying, blacks are doing it to themselves. These stereotypes were even being acknowledged about blacks even before blacks came to the United States. That these guys are not that bright, they're dumb, stuff like this. So what I'm saying is it makes blacks have to work outside of these predisposed stereotypes that whites have put on the blacks, outside of what Brandon's talking about when it comes to violence. You get what I'm saying? Or committing crimes.
Hey, well, check it out. Let me say this, man. As far as crime and my people and whatnot, man. Look, you know what I do or what I used to do, man. You know, so I've been deep in the streets, man. And even though I've retired, most of the females that I know, bro. Oh shit! Let me turn this goddamn thing off.
You listen to porn, dog?
Yeah, man. Most of the females I know, man. Like this past month, I was with a female. We went to Walmart, and unbeknownst to me, she goes into Walmart and starts stealing like gummy bear vitamins for her kids. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at her I'm like, bitch, what are you doing? She was like, oh, you don't mind, do you? I'm like, yes. No, don't do that. Don't do that with me. Don't do that with me. So she was boosting, you know, while we was at Walmart, man. And I'm like, and so then like a week later, I'm riding with a chick and I'm riding in her vehicle. We drive past the police. And of course, man, the police put on the sirens. And then she's like, oh shit. And I'm like, you know, I'm not even paying attention to the sirens. You know, we just went shopping. And then, she speed up. She get off the ramp. Then she hit the gas station. I'm like, what the hell is your problem? She was like, oh shit, I got a warrant. I'm like, bitch. I'm like, seriously? She's like, yeah. So police get up to her. And he like, are you, I ain't gonna say her name. She might be listening. You know, he say her name. And, she cold with it, man, because I roll with criminal bitches. So she like, no, that's not me. My name is, she gave some other off-brand name. You know what I mean? Just looked him straight in the eye and lied to him. Then he come over to me, and I'm typically the law and order dude, right? You know what I mean? Because I sympathize with law and order because I used to do it, right? So he come up to me, and I know how it usually works. You know, when a cop stop you, he usually try and separate, you know, all the people in the vehicle and get the story separate. You know what I mean? See if they match up and shit. So he come over to me. He's like, so you're driving around and you're doing what? And what's her name? And I'm like, damn. So I was kind of conflicted because, you know, I just like, man, this bitch got me jammed up. And so I like, look, hey, whatever she said her name is, that's what her name is. He was like, excuse me. I'm like, what did she say her name is? And, you know, he was just like, so you can't tell me what her name is? I'm like, what did she say her name is? So he left us alone. Fortunately, we was in one of them townships or whatever where when he ran the license plate, her face didn't pop up. So we escaped. But, man, that's just, you know, typically, you know, that's what I'm faced with on a day-to-day basis, man, when I'm fucking with the females that I fuck with, man. They all got records. They all stealing. I mean, it's like,
why are you fucking with these hoes then, nigga? That's why everybody keep asking the chat. Why do you
hey, because I can't really judge the sisters for liking thug niggas, you know, because I like hood bitches. I do like hood bitches. I ain't gonna front, man. I like hood bitches, man, but it's just like, damn, it's like, man, can I find one that's, you know, I don't know. Sometimes it's a little too much because I just want to go somewhere and not have the cops follow me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go somewhere and not have you stealing shit. You know what I mean? Stop. I tell all them, don't steal when I'm with you. Okay? Don't do it. So yeah,
vitamins.
Yeah, gummy bear vitamins, man. I'm like, oh, it's like what, $4? I'll give you $4. You ain't gotta steal that.
The shit that you fuck after that. I mean, because after you bailed her out, I mean, like, nah, she should have gave you some pussy for that shit. I would have. And if she would have, I would have called the police on her ass.
Oh man, boy. I don't know, but there's something to be said for you know, cops and store owners, you know, being hypersensitive, you know, to the criminality or the so-called criminality of black people because they deal with it on such a regular basis. And I can understand why they would you know, flip out and put everybody in that trick bag. You know what I mean? Because they deal with it all the time, man.
Shit, we deal with it all the time now. But
yeah.
Who wants to? Somebody has something to say. Who has something to say?
I was going to say something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eliar. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eliar.
As far as like the intelligence part is separate and the criminality part is separate. I'm talking historically, not right now though. The intelligence part is both part of American hypocrisy that we keep wanting things to be fair and they're not fair. So the intelligence part, our history says we have a lot of intelligent moments, but anytime we do something intelligence, it's like, you're an exception to the rule, and it's like, once you check the track record, but that's just the way it is in this country. Okay. The criminality part is pretty much the same thing because, like, for this era, the criminality is high. But I mean, to a degree, you look at it historically, it's like Irish on Irish crime and drugs is American history and it's entertaining. Same thing with the Italians, same thing with the Jews, same thing currently with the Hispanics. These people are they're not looked at as criminals, but their whole history is criminal. Plus, they're looked at as intelligent people and masterminds, even if they're masterminds at dealing drugs and shooting people. Like, nobody sees a Hispanic guy and says, oh, he running a cartel as if he's a bad person. Or look at it, like when I run into Italian dudes, they get tired of people saying, oh, you with the mob, but they say it in such a way like he's smart and he demands respect. So it's just the hypocrisy of the country.
Okay. No, I get it. Who else wanted to weigh in on that?
Yeah, and to what LAR is saying, I get what he's saying about how when other people do dysfunctional behavior, it's seen as Machiavellian and anti-hero-ish, while when black people do it, it's just outright savagery and dysfunction. Here's how I see it. In the long run, a lot of these people are burying themselves. They're ruining their own communities and they're ruining their own reputations. And especially when you get outside the United States, you actually deal with people who know what time it is and know what kind of people these are. These aren't the anti-heroes that a lot of Americans, regardless of race, see them as. Trust me, this is the American bubble that we live in, and where, blacks get shitted on for all sorts of things that other people don't. And to that I say, you know what? Let them hang themselves in the long run. Let them be criminals. Let them be drug dealers. Let them be thieves or whatever. Because in the end, especially when the American influence falls, it's going to catch up to them. But I did want to say something about reputation, which we were all talking about when it comes to black criminality and that sort of thing. Okay. Being in Utah, I will be honest, and a lot of people are going to be shocked to say this, black people are not at the lowest point in this state. We're not the niggas of this
state. The Samoans are, huh?
It's a tie between the Samoans and the Hispanics.
Yeah.
Right, as they like to call them, Polynesians and Hispanics. Like, a lot of them will be the ones you see with their faces and their mugs posted on the 11 o'clock news, or in this case, the 10 o'clock news or whatever. And I have definitely noticed a difference in treatment, how people treat a person like myself versus a person, say, of Hispanic or of Polynesian descent. I made a lot of Hispanic and Polynesian friends, and trust me, a lot of them do not have very flattering things about Utah. They have gotten they have so many stories, particularly with just random ass white people, or when they're in confrontations, just bringing up the stereotypes about, oh, you need to go back to Mexico, or you need to swim back to your little island or something like that. Whereas in my case, I have maybe received 1/10 of the treatment, of the negative treatment, when it came down to dealing with a lot of people from Utah. Hell, as a matter of fact, I've actually dated a lot of Hispanic and Polynesian girls, in which, especially coming from, like, say, Southern California, where a lot of Hispanics tend to hate blacks, or at least that's what the reputation is. Up here, you have a lot of Hispanic dads saying that, oh, I'd rather have my daughter date a black guy than a white guy. Fuck those. And it just goes on and on. I can give you examples all day. Because the thing about it is, in Utah, blacks, for the most part, and no, trust me, there are plenty of dusty blacks where they're homeless, just dusty Negroes who are just being shiftless. But the general perception is that if you're black and you decided to move to Utah, you're either here for school, work, or the jazz.
Okay, Utah Jazz.
And the point is this: if you're black in Utah, you're here for a purpose, and you're more likely making some sort of money to the point that you're staying out of trouble and you're keeping your nose clean. Henceforth, I think that's the reason why I've gotten it a lot easier here in Utah versus on the East Coast, where it's the same shit, different day.
Okay. So guys, I'm gonna close it down, man. It's 5:41. I don't have class until Monday, so I'm good. So I want to just thank everybody, man. The all-star panel. Like, I'm gonna start calling these the barbershop, because I do them like almost I can't every night, and I just kind of let everybody come on, and we'll have a good topic tomorrow. ABL and Brandon Tatum, man, y'all, can I borrow some subscribers, dog? I'm tired of being the low man on the pole, man. I've been trying to blow up, man, on my channels and shit, man, and you niggas keep getting 100 and something thousand subscribers over here stuck in the hood, and y'all just come over here and just kick it. You go back to your nice subscriber bases. I'm still stuck with these niggas over here, man. I want to go too. I'm a black conservative. What the fuck? You know what? Limits and shit, man. What the fuck?
You know what I think has helped, and I'm gonna be honest, not trying to throw shade and nothing, was that if you because I don't curse, I think that it's my videos are easily shareable. Like everybody can share my stuff because I don't curse, I don't use the N-word, and I think that just gives, because people probably want to share your stuff all the time. Like I would share your stuff, but I can't share it on my platform because of the
No, you can't.
Boy, them people they'll be. I have 0 followers if I share the video. They say
yeah, that's been one big complaint about my content.
Yeah.
It gotta be family friendly, man. Like, I have people that call me and they say, I watch it with my kids, 5-year-old kids, stuff like that. I got family friendly content.
You do. You guys both do. And the thing about it is, God is not through with me yet, man. But I think everybody got a part to play. And while you guys keep getting more mainstream, I'm gonna keep getting nigga stream over here. I'm gonna stay in the ghetto. But I like it over here, man. I'm kind of one of them niggas like, I could clean it up, but I like being over here with these motherfucking niggas. I like it. I like the gunshots. I like Maxi Limits coming over and cooking barbecue and shit. I don't know, man. What'd you say?
They ain't lying. I said they ain't lying, man. That's been the number one knock on my podcast, man. People can't, handle my mouth. You know what I mean? But it's me. And I mean, it ain't a lot of people watching, but it gets watched. But I gotta be me, man. So maybe one day when I actually really want to get serious and pull in some numbers, maybe I might try it. But
like I like being under the radar, man. I like to be able to say, right, like Kanye West gave a shout out to Candace Owens, and my boy Brandon Tatum had Candace Owens on like about a month before. And I get to say I'm cool with Brandon Tatum. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like one person removed from Candace Owens. Like ABL was on with what was it? Tommy Lauren. ABL over here all the time.
Down chicka wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like the one nigga that never made it. I'm like Earl Manigault. You know what I'm saying? Like he's good, but he just didn't get to the league. I'm like that. Like these dudes is like, Hall of Famers, but I'm like, what if? You know what I'm saying? I like being that what if nigga. You feel me? So I gotta keep
I'll tell you, my problem is I piss off the leftists and the rightists equally, man. I'm more libertarian than anything else. I just see through the bullshit on both sides. So I'm just giving up those dreams on being like just mainstream, unless a freaking libertarian revolution happens. We get like a Ron Paul like president. Then I may, start trying to do the ABL and Brandon Tatum thing. But until then, forget about it.
Yeah, man. I'm like that nigga that make hook shots from like half court, that will never get into the NBA. So I think I'm good over here where I'm at and shit. But I really a big fan of ABL's channels and Brandon Tatum. Like every video you do is like 1,000 billion views and shit. I'm not jealous. I don't be hating on you. I do be hating on y'all. But shout out to
you got a good base over here though. You got a very loyal base over here. So this right here's a spot to be. This is like HBO.
Yeah, it's like, It's like hood box office.
Hood box office. There you go.
Rich.
Yeah, look, it be cracking over here, man. We have people sometimes in the 700 live viewers. Sometimes guys, but I think the conversations that we have are very unique to this audience, and so that's why they're very loyal stuff. So, and I'm glad that the big guys come by, man. We have a very diverse group of people. Rusty Balls, man, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. And so that's what let everybody shout you there out. We're gonna have a good show again tomorrow. I might be going to the G-Eazy concert in Warsaw, Poland. So I might be getting my not my swirl on, but I might just be going out there checking it out. So if I don't do a show tomorrow, I'll definitely do one on the weekend. But let's everybody start off with Clutch, and we'll go that way. Let everybody know where they can find you at and all that shit, dog.
All right. So first of all, I want to thank all of you once again for joining this podcast. I want to thank Oshay for having me on for 2 straight nights dealing with my whitewash beach life ass. For all of you who want to hear the opinions of a whitewash libertarian who probably sounds as white as anyone else, yeah, I own that crap. Just sub my YouTube channel. And also, if you want to get a dose of someone who talks as much shit to the alt-righters as they do to the SJW leftists, go free to check out my stuff. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.
All right. Okay. And that's my boy right there. Let's go ahead and go to Rusty Balls. Thanks for coming through, man. It's your first time appearance on the show, man. But, big fan of your stuff. Where can everybody find you at, player? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Take yourself off mute, Rusty.
There we go. Am I off mute yet?
You're off mute. Yeah, you're off.
All right, awesome. All right, so you can find me, of course, Rusty Balls. That is the name of my YouTube channel. I'm actually just getting started. My YouTube channel is 13 years old, but I actually just started making videos regularly over since the summer. So I'm actually just getting started. I just have under 300 subscribers. So I'm trying to get to where you're at, trying to grow the channel and trying to get my word out, my story out.
Well, dude, we gotta do a one-on-one, bro, because you're pretty good. So, I subbed you a long time ago. I was like, damn, this dude's good. So shout out to my man Rusty Balls, man. He's a really
cool question to Rusty.
Yeah.
Cool question, Rusty. All right, I was told that you were married to an American black woman, or a black woman, I should say. Don't tell me she's American. She's African Caribbean.
No, she's African American.
Huh? American black woman. Oh wow!
The Patreon.
You sound almost as whitewashed as I am. Or I do, and you're married to an American black woman. Come on.
He has an interesting story. He did say he was married to a white woman before, so I want to get him on a one-on-one and kind of pick his brain a little bit. So Rusty, we got to hear that story, man, because you're married to a white woman at first, then
I was.
You were, right? Yeah.
Yes, I was.
And so you have some really interesting views on race after the first marriage. So I want to hear that. So Rusty, I know you're on Facebook jail from earlier on my post, but I'll email you and we'll set it up. Let's go to Mac City real quick.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and check me out at Mac City Limits Radio Show, man. Talk about politics, religion, metaphysics, social, economic, political issues. And, I got tons of hood stories, talking about all the females that I met in the streets, doing various unsavory hustles and whatnot, man. And I'm just trying to tell the fellas, man, when you go to Mac City Limits Radio Show, you cannot be a sensitive Negro, man. If you got a tampon wedged between your butt cheeks, don't come over to Mac City Limits Radio Show. I'm trying to tell you, because a lot of y'all end up getting your feelings hurt when you hear a paradigm that don't match yours. So, we don't pull no punches over there. So if you on some grown man shit, come over to Mac City Limits Radio Show and check us out, man. You know what I mean? And I once again like to thank Oshay for having me on this platform with these gentlemen, espousing our views, very eclectic, a lot of good variety in this discussion. And once again, also would like to thank him for hitting me with the Editor's Choice Award, you know what I mean, for best pre-recorded podcast. You know what I mean? It's hanging on my wall. Appreciate that, pimp. And that's all I got to say. Oh, no. Also go to powerandstrategy.com, with my boy Tony Maceo, the co-host of Mac City Limits Radio Show. Also, he is a writer over at the Negro Manosphere. So also, once again, powerandstrategy.com and Mac City Limits Radio Show.
All right. Yeah, man. I got you like the award. I'm sure ABL when it comes, he gonna show his because he was doing the last. You see him do it last time.
He's
flossing on these niggas. So let's go to LAR, man. LAR, he won 2 awards on NegroManosphere.com. So LAR, shout everybody out, man. Where they can find you all that shit, dog.
First of all, I'm gonna floss my 2 on when ABL put up his 1 next time. Okay. Second thing, appreciate you for having me as always. It's a pleasure. All y'all are cool as hell, so I enjoy this. LAR Movement is the channel. I do have a Cheap Seats Boxing Show is an iTunes podcast, so that's pretty much what I do on these things. So that's it.
Okay. And let's go to Brandon. Before you talk, man, ABL, you did come in second place on the best political channel. We kind of spanked you, dog, on the poll, bro. I mean, it was kind of beat you about 50, but it was something respectable though. It was something like 100 to 150. So it wasn't but he did what he asked a little bit though.
Next year it's on, man. It's on.
Okay, yeah, because he did kind of spanked you on the poll. But go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so I appreciate it again, man. I love coming over here. I like going to the hood every now and again. You know what I'm saying? Got to keep my hood card going.
Yeah, you got to.
No, but I appreciate it, Oshay, man. I appreciate everybody on the panel. I always enjoy being here. Anybody want to follow me, you can go to Brandon Tatum. My YouTube channel is probably my favorite platform right now. You can just put Brandon Tatum in and find me on all my stuff. I think that's it. That's it. I really appreciate it. People come on and look at my content, and I'll see you guys later.
God damn, you got 123,000 subscribers now. Hold on. This dude has got 35,000 subscribers in the last 30 days.
Damn.
Nigga, I'm gonna start hating on you, nigga. I'm gonna start doing response videos to you so I can get some subscribers. I know what to do with your ass. I'm gonna start hating.
So me and Candace Owens work together. So after a while, man, I might get a couple shout outs every now and again. My page might blow up more. So I don't know, man.
I should have stopped cursing like ABL told me. God damn. I wanted to deal with here dealing with you niggas, man. I could be out there with the white folks, man. Fuck.
Hey, and then you can make
money on the table.
You can make private videos for the hood, man. You make private videos for the hood.
I'm over here fucking around, man. Over here on fucking 187 Duplex Drive and shit. And I could have been out there with Candace Owens and these niggas, man. Fuck. All right. I know. We'll just got to build up our shit. Oh, I want to do a shout out to my man JL. He made an interesting point. If African Americans develop their own infrastructure, there wouldn't be any need to impress white employers with the King's English and ass kissing.
Can I make an opposite point to that?
Yeah, hold on. Let me let ABL show his plaque off of stuff real quick. Let me come back to that last week. So
all right, yeah, I'm gonna show the plaque. Only because Oshay said something. If he ain't say it, then I'm gonna show it. So I blame Oshay if anybody get upset about me showing the plaque. But anyway, thank y'all for having me. Of course, thank you Oshay for putting the show on as always. Definitely appreciate it. You guys can find me on my website, AnthonyBLogan.com. That is ANTHONY. The letter B, LOGAN. Also find me on YouTube, youtube.com/alog. That is youtube.com/ALOGE. Also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Anthony B. Logan. Facebook, Anthony Brian Logan. And that's it.
All right. And guys, the wars are going to get bigger and crazier as we go ahead, Tatum.
Oshay, I'm sorry, man. I forgot to announce this, man. Like Turning Point USA, we're having the first national Young Black Leadership Conference. Obviously, I'm the director of the conference. So if you know anybody who was of the age of 18 through, it says 26, but if you're around 31, 30-ish, I can still get you in. But you go to my YouTube channel, on the description section of any one of my videos, you can click and then you can apply to be a part of the conference. It'll be free. We're gonna fly everybody out that get approved. We're trying to get over 300 people. Wow. Young black people. But that's for the young people. Now we're gonna pick speakers, and we're gonna go through the process of trying to pick people to speak. So that's a different process. I'm gonna select people independently. But if you know young people that want to go to this conference, it's gonna be in Washington, D.C. Make sure they go on my website, click on the link in my description section, and go ahead and apply.
And let me do this. Shout out to JL Edwards because I know he's a younger guy in college. So JL, man, thanks for that. You know, let me do this real quick. Antoine Wade, my brother out in Malaysia, big time brother, man, doing business in Malaysia. I've only heard the term "you talk white" from black people when they hear someone speak who is articulate or educated. Appearance has to do with this too. So for you guys that are between the ages of 18 to, like you said, 26, and Brandon, remind me, send me an email. God, this is an opportunity for you to go out, meet some new people and stuff like that, right? So I really love, you brothers that you're young. Obviously, I can't. My hairline will not allow me to fake the age because I would lose some weight and go like I was 26. But so if you brothers want to do that, go to what's the website, Brandon? Is it BrandonTatum.com?
No, I'm gonna put the link up here in 1 second. It's a customized URL, so I'm gonna find it real quick and I'll put.
Okay, hold on. If it's a customized URL, let me make you a moderator just so you can post it for right now. Let me see if I can do this. Just comment and I'll make your page a moderator real quick. So just comment hey and I'll make it page something because sometimes I may block.
Just put anything in there so you can see you in the chat.
And James also trying to get drafted. Man, if I tried to get drafted to the Negro League, man, you niggas assassinate me because it wouldn't be no more hood shows to do. It would be Tony and Max City, but you know what I mean. It wouldn't be no daily fuckery. You know what I mean. So I can't. Y'all ain't gonna let me go to the mainstream, man. You niggas ain't gonna let me do it. They ain't gonna let me do it, dog. What'd you say?
But you know what I mean. It wouldn't be no daily.
Who's okay? So So wait, Clutch, you wanted to respond to something real quick. What did you want to say?
Oh yeah, it's an infrastructure comment. So, you know what? I would agree to that if we were living in the 60s and prior, but coming from a place that had black infrastructure, instead of having to speak articulate and kiss white ass, you have to basically dumb yourself down to kiss nigga ass.
Oh,
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's what black infrastructure and at least at the condition that blacks are in right now, all that's going to do. So before we even build our infrastructure, we need to change our perspective and our mentality, honestly.
Yeah, and that's true. So Brandon, I'm just waiting on Brandon. Brandon, comment in the chat so we can post this link. And shout out to Anthony Brown Logan. Right, Anthony Brown Logan was just at a conference. Talk about your conference real quick, brother. You was just in DC, right?
Oh yeah, I was in DC. It was the Black Conservative Federation and also Urban Game Changers. That's Charlotte Hussar for Urban Game Changers and Deontay Johnson from the Black Conservative Federation. They flew me out there. It was a lot of stuff going on in DC this particular weekend, and I was one of the main speakers at an event that happened at this spot called Xanatos Restaurant, which is right in Georgia Ave in DC. It was a great event, great turnout. A lot of black conservatives were there. We were like in the upstairs part of a restaurant, and the whole upstairs was packed, and it was a good event. I was there. You had Afro Synergy. I know you subscribe to him on YouTube, Oshay. He was there. Charlotte Hussar was there. Her son Kenneth was there, and Lauren Meeks. She's one of I think she's kind of like Charlotte's assistant. She was there as well, and there were a few other people that were there. You know, business owners, a lot of good people. So hopefully, I get to do more stuff like that. See more people come out and express themselves. There's more of us out there that are conservative than you would think. A lot of us are kind of like hide in the closet. Mm-hmm. Come on out, man. There's a lot of us out here.
Right. That's the thing about it. You see what black conservatives do? They fly you out. That's white folks shit. Is that acting white too? Okay. And that's one thing, man. That's the reason why we did these awards, right? Because we can't expect, nobody else to treat us better than we would treat each other, right? When you see these black people doing things like this, giving out awards or flying people out, stuff like this, that sets the precedence of you're creating pretty much a culture. That's what you're doing. You're creating a culture. And the culture is, this is how we treat each other. And this is how we expect other people to treat us. So that's one thing I can say about black conservatives. They are not cheap. And I would say this following here is a conservative following, and you guys show that every day. I would argue that this channel gets more financial support than 85% of the YouTube channels on the daily. Guys here, they drop money all the time, man. So start support more of your black folks. Now, Brandon Tatum has just posted a link, and I'll put this in the description before we leave. Young Black Leadership Summit. Let me just change this here. Then does anybody while I'm editing this real quick. Anybody who interested in going to that, there's a link. I put it there. But does anybody got anything lastly that they want to say?
Great show, but it's time to wrap it up.
Time to wrap it up. The
Wrap
bully
it
has
up.
spoken. All right, just give me 1 second, bully. So we'll do that. All right, guys. So I want to thank everybody for coming on and stuff like this, hanging out with me late night. And I put the link in the description for the Black. What is it called? The Black Leadership Conference? Young Black Leadership Conference? What is it?
Young Black Leadership Conference.
Okay. So I will definitely love to see that. All right, so guys, thank you so much for what you guys do, man. Keep pushing. You know, we have guys on the channel here from almost 200,000 subscribers to 300 subscribers. So thanks for all the content. You guys are great. I'm out this bitch. Peace.
We out.
Peace.
Righteous.
Hey, check the message, ABL. He gone.
ABL. Oh, I got ABL's Brandon. I got ABL's number. I'll send it to you.
And anybody else on here that's still on, if they want my number, just holler at me.
Okay.
I put it in the message.
Okay. I'll send you ABL's number right now, Brandon.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Peace.